Where's your goat now?
Welcome to Call of the Wild.
Hey everyone, this is Monstercat's weekly radio show connecting you with some of your favorite artists.
Hey everyone, this is Kill Paris.
Hey guys, this is Conroe.
What's up guys, Deon Simmer here.
And of course, a place where individuals like yourselves can take part in a global family.
Hey yo, this is Logan from Australia.
I'd like to shout out everyone who listens to Monstercat and remind you that you're awesome.
So glad I'm here.
So get yourself ready for an hour of fresh music, and it all starts right now.
With With nothing to hold us back, these are the songs of the wild.
Hey everyone, what is up? Welcome to Monster Cat's Call the Wild. This is our 2020 Staff Picks episode where we bring on a whole bunch of our staff to tell you who they are, what they do, and what their favorite track of the year is. I also want to mention that when we started this many years ago, we only had enough staff to fill up one episode. Now the company's grown so much that this is only actually the tip of the iceberg for all the amazingly talented people that are behind every single release. So I can't wait to get them on the air. Let's get this started. Welcome to Monster Cat's Call the Wild 2020 Staff Picks.
Hey guys, Chris from Monster Cat, one of the A&Rs here and in charge of all things Uncaged. Wishing you and yours happy holidays and heading into a positive 2021. My favourite record of the year? Gonna have to give it to Sullivan King, Someone Else. I'm a big fan of Sullivan and stay tuned for 2021 if you know what I'm saying.
Welcome and good evening, everyone, to the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. I am your host, Daniel Glovely Clock, and tonight we're here to play some League of Legends in the Collegiate Star League up against the UC Davis Aggies. Joining me here tonight is my co-host, the wonderful Artemis Nerdy Bird Rain. Welcome to the desk, Artie.
Thank you so much for having me here this evening. This is my first opportunity to broadcast League of Legends, I think, in my entire career thus far here at Boise State. So I'm very excited to be here with you.
Well, I'm great. I'm really happy to have you here. So we're at the point in the season where everyone sort of figured things out. We're in that sort of everything has been experimented with. The items are starting to settle. We're getting some balance changes in. So we're at the point where the meta is sort of figured out, at least.
Sort of figured out? Sort of
figured out. There's obviously, little bits and pieces of like, oh my goodness, how much sustain. So we're at this point where certain champions are starting to rise to the top. We're seeing Sarah Seraphine being really strong, a lot of Renekton getting picked up, Kai'Sa and Jhin very much dominating in that bot lane. But we're at the point where certain items, of course, are starting to stand out.
Okay, so what items would those be in this case? Because I know that there was some sort of like huge push out for like basically massive changes made to the way the items worked or something at the earlier start of the year. Is that kind of still something people are settling into?
Yeah, definitely something that we're still kind of getting used to. Riot is, of course, very committed to making the changes necessary to fix some of those items that may be a little bit overtuned. Gore Drinker, for example, a very powerful item. There's been a lot of complaints about how much sustain there is in the game. Ravenous Hydra, Eclipse, a lot of items providing lots of Omnivamp and keeping those champs alive a lot longer than they should. So thankfully, some of those items are getting changes. Such as the Rift Maker is getting more health, but it's getting less Omnivamp, and the Gore Drinker, my eternal foe, is going to have a bit less healing based on percentage-wise. Normally it was 12%. It's going to be 8%. Of course, Gravest Wounds, great items to have, but maybe not doing enough when Aatrox has over 100% healing when his ultimate is active.
That sounds gross and unfair.
Reminder that this is the Collegiate Star League, which features 416 teams across this entire setup. Every team will be part of one of 39 divisions, including 2 Boise State teams. They will play best of 3s versus their entire group. The top 3 in each group move on to the playoffs, and the playoffs start in February. It's February. We've got some playoffs that are going to be starting up here very soon.
Ooh, well then I'm excited.
But how did we get here? Let's have a quick look at the standings. Boise State is, of course, up on the top there, 5-0, doing a great job. But who jumps out at you?
Honestly, from this list, Colorado State is going to jump out at me the most, just because across the board in all of our games, they're kind of our rivalry that we always have to like one up that school in order to guarantee our positions to where we are. But I see that they are a little bit lower ranked with that 3-2 record that they currently have, which to me is surprising. But that also says to me that Boise State also probably already played them and did beat them, so that makes me very happy.
You can also see our opponent for today, UC Davis there, tied for that second position spot. If they take a win over Boise State today, they will make that into a two-way tie for first place. I'm very excited to see what's going on tonight. There's obviously a lot at stake here for the Aggies. But for tonight, it's time to go through tonight's lineup. So for tonight's lineup, we've got the Boise State team. I'm very excited to have them here with us. Obviously, you can't see them behind me in the arena, but tonight's lineup here, we have Prominence Blade in the top lane, Joe Gibson, Galaxy Savage at the jungle, AD Carry playing in the bot lane, and Gimmick, AD Carry in the mid lane, Gimmick in that bot lane position, and Peikelrick playing at support.
Peikelrick, I love that name. Do we have so is that the lineup for the Boise State side, or is that our lineup for UC Davis?
That is the Boise State lineup.
All right, so our lineup for UC Davis is still in the dark. I'm interested to see what players they pull out, because as you mentioned before this broadcast started, they had 2 players per position, so it's a little bit of a mixed bag of who we might end up with.
Yeah, even just looking at their stats, it looks like we had 2 jungle mains, we had 2 AD carry mains, so very hard even for me to try and get a bead onto what kind of champions that they're going to be playing. There are a few standouts that I expect, the Skarner, the Vayne, so we can see the players there preparing themselves. League of Legends here tonight in the Collegiate Star League. We're very proud of our teams here, and we're going into the draft already.
All right, so what are some champions that you predict will be in the bans here?
Well, there's definitely a few champions that are standout. 4 players on either side. Prominence Blade has always had a fantastic Camille. That's a champion that's drawn a lot of attention. In my scouting, Death of a Dream, the top laner for the UC Davis Aggies, played a lot of Gnar. Darius is actually going to be the first ban for Boise State, so a powerful top laner, really great at dunking on people, great lane bully. It's going to be the Camille in response. Not a big surprise. Prominence Blade really loves that champion.
Well, if Prominence Blade loves that champion, it makes sense that we'd be banning them out, because you don't want them to have the chance to play that champ. Thank goodness banning's no longer a thing in Overwatch.
It's also a great champion in terms of a lot of lane bully power. Not a lot of great matchups into Camille. She's very strong, in my opinion, right now in that top side. Next ban being hovered there for a moment. We didn't quite see that, but so Darius, Camille, both very strong top lane bullies, top lane focus. Looks like the Shen is going to be the next ban here for the Aggies. Very strong tank champion, a lot of global presence. Not surprised to see it go away.
Are there any, like, kind of, as negative as it sounds, kind of like the cheese champions that, you know, if you pick them, you're kind of...
I'm just getting word that the second ban is actually Seraphine. We now see Samira here on the board, so a little bit of a pro draft. That is... Oh, sorry, Samira is Seraphine. I know it's a little bit strange, but it had pro draft, you know. So that is Darius and Seraphine being taken off the board. Seraphine, you may have seen earlier as you were waiting to watch the stream. She's a very strong champion right now. Lots of healing, lots of crowd control, lots of damage.
That's what I like to see.
Very versatile champion, but she is banned away by Boise State.
Dang it. But like I said, I get it. That kind of sounds like a cheese champion for me, in my opinion at least. If you pick that one, like the amount of survivability your team has is just grotesquely high.
Definitely. Talia going to be the next ban here. Not a very popular champion, of course, but very strong jungler right now with her ability power, great wave clear, great crowd control, pairs very well in the top lane with things like Renekton and Pyke, of course, being taken off the table. If you know anything about Peikelrick, it's that he loves that champion to the point that he put in his name.
Yeah, I saw that coming from
Not a surprise to see that banned away. Aatrox's going to be the pickup for Boise State, possibly in that top lane, possibly jungle. If I had to guess, most likely going to be in that top lane. I don't think we've seen Prominence Blade play this one yet.
Well, then I'm going to be very interested to see what you have to offer me within regards to the playstyle that Prominence Blade brings out while playing this champion, because it's always exciting.
Pardon, that was a change. It's actually going to be the Ornn in the top lane. So, great top lane tank. That is going to be Aatrox on the side of the Aggies. Pro draft errors happen. So, Aatrox, very good at sustaining himself in the lane. Great lifesteal. Gragas is going to be the next pick up there for that jungler. Another great sustained champion. But also has the opportunity to either go into a very tanky build or into a more damage-oriented one. On the other side, Yone is going to be the pickup. So Yasuo's brother, the Yasuo 2.0, pretty strong laner himself. And Kayn, okay, Kayn. That's a champion that's been banned away from Boise State quite a few times. Very strong jungler in terms of his ability to sustain himself. Lots of lifesteal as he scales later into the game. Can turn into that blue or red Kayn. And Yasuo, so we do get a duel between Yasuo and Yone, the brothers, possibly even in that mid lane position.
I would love to see that. It'll be like Genji versus Hanzo all over again for me.
Next ban still being decided. But the Yone-Yasuo matchup is a really interesting one. Neither of them has a particular advantage over the other. Both of them have some great strengths and, of course, some great synergy even with each other. It's going to be Olaf is the next ban from Boise State. Very powerful jungler right now with his ability to lifesteal through that W, to nullify any attempts at crowd controlling him with his ultimate, and of course Gore Drinker, a fantastic item on him. It's going to be Swain, the answer in response. Another support ban, actually. Could also be for the mid or top, but most likely in that support role. A third support ban going to go out to the Leona. Very strong engaged champion. Of course, Boise State wants to nullify that. One more ban available here for the Aggies. We'll see what they decide to go with. With that Leona off the table, it definitely opens them up to a lot more unsafe champions, you might say. Actually, it is going to be a swap there. So Jax is going to be that final ban. Very strong top laner or jungler. Very strong late game champion.
Gotcha. I'm interested more or less in the supports that both teams are going to pick, because when I do play League, I of course play support, so I'm a Sona Lux main depending on what champions my teammates pick. So I'm interested to see what comes out from either of these teams.
Well, surprise, surprise, the two AD carries who have been dominating the meta have been picked up. The Aggies grab themselves Jhin, and Kaisa goes over to the side of Boise State, followed by Gallia, who has the option to go into not just that support role, but also that mid lane. Will probably play the support role. Thresh is going to be picked up on the other side. We've seen this Galio-Thresh matchup go either way. Galio does have the ability to get out of the Thresh hook using the Justice Punch. But Thresh has also been able to nullify Galio's advances with the smart use of the Flay. So we'll have to see how this turns out.
I'm excited, honestly. I'm a little familiar with some of these champions, not super familiar. I have seen Thresh plenty of times, and I'm interested to see the gameplay that comes out from UC Davis on that one. But I'm also interested in seeing the counterplay that's going to come out from Boise State.
Definitely a lot of really cool champions chosen for the side. I'm very excited to see what happens in that Yone-Yasuo matchup. It's very much a skill-based matchup, in my opinion, as to who's going to find what damage on each other. I partly think it might favor Yone just because Yasuo's wind wall doesn't really block anything that Yone is going to be putting out. But overall, both of these teams very team fight oriented, so I expect a lot of brawls once we get out of the laning phase. Focus a lot around the objectives, dragons, rift heralds, barons, very much team fight oriented from both sides.
Okay, that's something you touched on it. Dragons. They've confused the living daylights out of me for the longest time. Can you give me the TLDR of them real fast?
TLDR, they're a very important objective. 4 of them spawn during the game. They can be one of 4 elemental types. If your team defeats one, you get a buff for your team that is permanent for the rest of the game. If you get 4, you get an upgraded version of that buff called a soul, which gives you some additional power. Obviously, once that 4th dragon has been defeated, or once that soul has been obtained, no more dragons spawn except for the Elder Dragon, which gives you its own true damage buff and damage over time. So those dragons, very important objectives because they are permanent stats added to your team for the rest of the game.
Okay, and then what about the Baron buff? Can someone explain that to me as well?
I will, as soon as we take a moment to remind everyone that this is Boise State against the Aggies in the Collegiate Star League. UC Davis here. We're excited to play up against you. That Baron buff, to explain it to you and, of course, all the folks at home, the Baron itself is a buff that spawns at 20 minutes. Big, terrifying monster. You usually need your whole team to take it on. If you defeat it, you get a buff for your whole team that makes your minions stronger, more durable. You deal extra damage to objectives and makes it really great at pushing into bases. One other thing that's important to mention today is that today is the National Letter of Intent Day. Earlier on, Fish and Doc sat down to discuss one of the high-profile recruits signing with Boise State today. So let's take a look.
Narkonovitz, top GM support player. This is the one that pains me because this means officially that Dean is on the way out. Yep. But Boise State clearly not losing much, going from a challenger to a GM. Pretty impressive.
Well, and he is right on the door of challenger. It's Brett is the pride of Glide. Tomorrow at his school, they're going to do a full assembly for his signing. Huge that an esports esports star like Brett is gonna do really cool stuff.
And I mean, obviously we talked about it in the open. Some of the familiar names for Boise State are slowly going to be graduating, which is great for them. Right. Sad for us, great for them. Where do you see him slotting in for Boise State's League of Legends team? Because Dean has been a staple for Boise State for as long as I've been a caster.
Correct. Narkowitz is going to be able to slot right into that spot. He's going to have a couple of other new teammates as well. It's going to be a very new look, Bronco League of Legends team, one without Dean in the lineup. But boy, is he talented. He is easily, Narkowitz is easily one of the top 10 high school League of Legends recruits in the country, and he selected Boise State.
See a lot of Thresh play in these highlights. I mean, that's something that we saw Dean play from time to time. Is Thresh going to be his go-to, or does he have a very wide champion pool? And how would you compare it to Dean? What do you think the play style differences are going to be for Boise State when they get Light Pulse on board?
Both of them have a similarity of when they need to be aggressive, they can be aggressive and oppressively aggressive. Remember that arrow from across the map that Dean would fire? Brett's got a lot of highlights like that, and he's a wonderful communicator and strategizer. He's going to fit right in.
I'm just going to apologize to Brett in advance. I'm going to call you Dean probably the very first game you play because Dean has been here for the last 2 years I've been broadcasting. So apologize.
Hello, welcome back, everybody. This is still Boise State up against UC Davis Aggies here in the Collegiate Star League. We are preparing ourselves to get into our first game here. We've got some great lineups for each other. But first, let's talk about Doc's keys to the game in League of Legends. Understand your composition, understand your win condition, respect their spikes, and play your game. Doc's keys to the game is brought to you by Count. Count's Identity Trust Global Network delivers real-time fraud prevention, account protection, and enables personalized customer experiences for more than 9,000 leading brands and payment providers. Quick and accurate identity trust decisions deliver safe payment, account creation, and login events while reducing digital fraud, chargebacks, false positives, and manual reviews. Go to count.com to learn more. And let me tell you, when we're talking about Doc's keys to the game, this is pretty standard stuff. Understanding exactly what it is about your team that makes you strong, understanding how your opponents are going to play against you. This is our Boise State lineup. You can see Prominence Blade in the top lane, Galaxy Savage at jungle, AD Carry in the mid, Gimmick in the bot lane position, and Pykel Rick there playing in support. So we've got a great matchup here lined up for the day. We're expecting a lot of team fights, a lot of objective focus from these teams.
All right, so based off of the champions that were selected for the side of Boise State, what would you say are like the key concepts of the win condition that they have? As you mentioned, they have a lot of, it seems like, sustain and crowd control, so obviously winning team fights is going to be something, but does that play into like making sure that they are, as Doc put it, their spikes, so the level spikes when you hit those quintessential points in leveling up, is that going to be something that they're going to have to focus on, making sure that they're doing it much faster than the other side is doing it, or is that going to be pretty much equal because of the way the two comps are set up?
I mean, ideally, at any League of Legends game, you want to get to your power spikes as soon as possible. I think it's going to be especially important for Boise State's bot lane because that is where a lot of the focus of the game is going to be. We are now getting into Game 1. Here we are, League of Legends, Boise State versus UC Davis. I'm excited to get into game.
I am too, and it looks like we've already got some of the Boise State side looking like they're getting ready to... Is that the blue buff down there that they're at right there?
Yep, down at the blue buff. Neither side appears to be looking for a cheeky early engage here. Not going to be trying to steal each other away. Just kind of watching the bushes, trying to catch anyone out if anyone makes a mistake here.
Oh.
One very interesting thing I'd like to note, Galaxy Savage has picked up Dark Harvest. It's very much a hard scaling, hard carry sort of jungle playstyle, so maybe looking to go into that Shadow Assassin form, assassinate the backline very quickly, and then get out.
I would like to also make a note of how relaxing the Summoner's Rift music is in comparison to Overwatch music.
It's no Overwatch fanfare. It's just kind of chill. Like, yeah, here we go. Everybody relax. We're getting ready. Start the game. Just going to pick up that blue buff there on Immortal Doge. Doge going to grab that blue buff here. Very slow start. Nothing too crazy here.
And yeah, it looks like there's just a minor soft engage happening at the mid right now. No one's really going to be attacking anybody. The power spikes haven't happened. No one's leveled up enough. You don't want to do anything. Just, do your farming. Do your work.
One interesting thing I'd like to note is that it appears AD Carry, Pykel, Rick have swapped places there. AD Carry actually playing that Galio in the support position, while Pykel Rick has gone to the mid lane with that Yone for the brothers matchup.
That's interesting. Maybe that's a champion that he's more familiar with and is comfortable with, and so they kind of yoinked it right out the gate to trick UC Davis a little bit. Who knows? Because there is the ability to swap champions after champion select is concluded within your own team, right?
Within your own team, definitely. And of course, players and champions can be flexible as to where they end up. A good trade there up in that top lane. We had a brief moment where we saw Galaxy Savage in that jungle. Kane gets very low while he is clearing, so bit risky, that champion sometimes, but he's doing a good job keeping himself sustained as the top laners trade back and forth. We have an attempted engage. Winds come out. The death sentence does land onto Galio, but there's a jungler coming through the wall.
There's a gank happening!
Galaxy Savage manages to deal a little damage, but they're not going to pick up any eliminations here. Meanwhile, Pykel Rick gets shoved in, but Prominence Blade gets caught in a trio. The fight's happening across the map. Pykel Rick, having to back away, is able to dodge that Q from Yasuo, so Steel Tempest not going to pick up first blood.
I did see him run under his tower to get a little extra damage out from that tower onto the enemy, which is very smart. I for one, definitely need to take advantage of the protection from towers a bit more when I play, so I'm going to be taking mental notes because I forgot my notebooks.
Tower dive. Unfortunately, Prominence Blade, great flash, gets him out of the way, but he's still under the tower. Immortal Doge thankfully manages to dodge, but is going to pick up that first blood. Very close Prominence Blade. Didn't quite land the knockup. Meanwhile, Pykel Rick going to roam up to that mid lane. Death of a Dream, though, able to back away. Death Sentence comes out, finds a minion.
It looks like this bottom lane push that's happening is pretty equal, so there's not too much that's going to be happening down there. But is this... Yep,
this is a replay
of that top lane. Oh, no.
That was a brilliant flash. Unfortunately, a good flash by Immortal Doge keeps him out of being trapped there underneath that tower, and he is going to pick up the first blood. So sometimes it's just a little bit of a touch there on that. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, AD Carry tries to Justice Punch in, not going to find a target.
And it looks like both of them are still currently at level 3, haven't quite hit that. Oh, wait, no, are they at level 5 down there?
Nope, everyone's still level 3. Attempted Death Sentence. There we go. Justice Punch to engage, but a great play keeps AD Carry at a distance.
Yeah, one of the things that I was advised to do was not attempt to do these full engages on the bot lane until you've hit that first spike at level 5. So I'm a little curious as to why Boise State's team's pushing up so harshly, especially when it looked like at least the minion spawns were not in their favor at that point. And unfortunately, there goes another death for Prominence Blade to Pseudo.
Definitely a top lane focus. Try to get that Aatrox ahead. He can be such a pain once he gets going, gets that life steal. So, and of course, Ord, not exactly a huge damage dealer himself. Definitely on the high end for a tank, but again, for a tank.
Right now, I'm a little interested as to why the side of UC Davis, which they're the Mustangs, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, so we have a battle of the horses this evening happening, is being so adamant about keeping their distance that they have pushed up right on the bottom lane, even though most of the Boise State side had already backed and they really didn't need to be there.
Good little trade there in the mid lane between Pykel Rick and Death of a Dream. Both of them going to walk away with relatively full health bars. Not a lot of damage done to each other. Those champions so great at avoiding and negating damage. Meanwhile, though, Prominence Blade going to take a huge trade from the Aatrox. Does manage to get the knock-up and is going to walk away. So trades fairly evenly, but Aatrox, a champion who really easily lifesteals himself back up.
And it looks like, yep, we're back down looking at the bottom lane right now.
Death Sentence lands. He's going to get the flay. Taunt comes out, though, and does find the Jhin. Doesn't manage to land that fourth shot. He's not in range. It's going to land the W, though, but walks away with a bleeding health bar. Meanwhile, fights are happening up in the top lane as well. Prominence Blade still trading very evenly, all things considered.
I wish we knew where either of the junglers were right now, because it looks like there's great opportunities both in top and bot lane right now for there to be a beautiful gank happening from the side of Boise State, especially with how low we've got one of the UC Davis players right now hiding out underneath that tower.
We can see that Immortal Doge has backed up. Oh, Ignite is used. Pykel Rick gonna back away, so that's a summoner down for him. Death Sentence comes out, doesn't find the target. Gonna just clear that vision ward in that mid lane, but a lot of pressure here Boise State's putting on this tower. Uses the Justice Punch to back away just in case the Death Sentence came out. Looks pretty peaceful and calm across the map so far. Only 2 eliminations, both over to UC Davis. Good tornado there onto Pykel Rick, but he is going to stay relatively safe here. One thing I didn't consider for this particular matchup is that the Yasuo does have a way to poke away at that Yone. Yone doesn't really have a way to sustain against it or to survive, whereas Yasuo does have that shield. So unless Yone manages to land his on his E, can be a little difficult for the Yasuo to find some damage that to find some damage that sticks.
That is an unfortunate matchup if it were me playing, but I have faith in the Boise State players to be able to use that to their advantage. As it looks like right now we've got what might be the 4th total fight happening up here on the top lane right now, and it's pretty equal.
Yeah, these 2 top laners kind of just slugging it out, all things considered, despite Pseudonomus being up ahead. Oh, good no! Ultimate there. Does find the last breath. Immortal Doge is going to get the elimination onto Pykel Rick. So overall, jungle dominance going over to the side of UC Davis, 0-3, and the first dragon of the game is going to be picked up by them.
Did you happen to see which element dragon that was?
Yes, you can see it on the top right section of the screen. That is the mounted dragon. That's armor and magic resist. But meanwhile, fight in the bottom lane. Oh. There goes the taunt onto the Thresh. Lapis is going to go down. Galaxy Savage going to pick up his first kill of the match for the side of Boise State. Ignite is going to be used by Prominence Blade. Not going to do a whole lot of follow-up there, however.
And it does look like we have, is that our support back there backing to?
That is our jungler. So Gimmick here, a little bit low on his health bar, but they feel pretty safe after picking up that assist there for themselves. Looks like they're going to back.
And here's that fight happening again on the top lane. Both of these champions are pretty equal, but ooh, using that flash to get out. I don't know if that was necessary right then, but you're pretty low health. I don't know if Blade wants to stay where he's at or push back just a tiny bit and give up some extra space.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing about about playing into a matchup who knows they can just freeze the wave, keep your tank away. We do see the junglers are coming up. They're going to meet each other here. Call the Forge God comes out. There's the knockup. Finds it onto a target, but his health bar is too low. Immortal Doge able to go in, help Pseudonomus pick up his elimination. Meanwhile, the ultimate comes out from Pykel Rick. Is he going to find enough? Yes, he will pick up the elimination for himself.
Rick.
Galaxy Savage puts some damage down. Does have Pykel Rick to back him up, but here comes Death of a Dream. Yasuo and Yone, Kane and Gragas here. There goes the ultimate onto Immortal Doge. Is going to back away, gets the last breath though, is going to go down, and unfortunately Pykel Rick caught in a bad spot. The explosive cast puts him behind enemy lines. He's going to get picked up by Death of a Dream.
Okay, so there's something that we bring up in Rocket League as well as Overwatch a tiny bit, is this concept of metered aggression and picking when you need to be doing these engages. I feel like that engage on the side of Boise State was not as calculated as it should have been. Look at this rewatch. honestly, did we have vision down to make sure that we could not have the re-engage coming out from the side of UC Davis, or do we not have full vision over here?
Looking at the map, we did have vision. We even see both supports moving up to try and help with that fight, but neither of them able to get there in time. AD carry there, just taking out a vision ward there in front of the dragon, making sure they have vision control. Overall, though, trade goes to UC Davis, who are in a commanding 2K lead right now.
Okay, so how important is, I guess, having gold?
Well, gold, of course, isn't everything, but gold is what buys you your items and what helps a lot of champions scale. You want to try and have your gold on champions who are going to be able to deal that damage in later stages of the game and really scale here. Prominence Blade going to take a few hits. He will survive with a relatively decent health bar as Pseudonomus going to keep himself healthy on the other side. Does burn a potion, though. Prominence Blade taking a lot of damage, is able to dodge all 3 Qs from the Aatrox, so well played there in that little trade, but still a very low health bar.
And what are these little diamond spikes that we see coming out here from Blade?
What he's doing is he's setting up one of his abilities. He can charge into it if he manages, which allows him to dash into that, create a knock-up around it. It's also terrain, it blocks things. But we do see Pykelrit getting engaged on. Is able to survive, but he has half a health bar. Very difficult matchup for that Yone, especially when the Yasuo is 1-0-2.
And it looks like our bot lane is just our support right now, because I think AD Carry left to go help in the top lane and has yet to fully return. Oh, there they are.
They are moving up just to say hello. Trying to clear out that ward. They are going to have the overall control here. Teleport comes down. Prominence Blade uses Call of the Forge God. Doesn't catch a target over the wall, unfortunately. Death Sentence does, however. AD Carry going to be caught. Channels the taunt. Finds 2. Explosive cast hits none, and there's a fight in the Baron Pit. Here comes the dynamic entry. But meanwhile, we also see fight breaking out across. We have a teleport in from the Aatrox here. Shutdown goes over to that Kai'Sa. That's going to be really important for Boise State as they now try to force people out of the Baron Pit, but those health bars are starting to drop low. Massive taunt on the 2 members. Double kill over to Kai'Sa. They managed to find the Jhin on the backline. Triple kill. Only Lapis alive. That's going to be Dragon over to the side of Boise State.
That was a beautiful team fight from the side of Boise State, and I can definitely see why previously you mentioned how well their comp was built around those team fights, because in one-on-ones, up until this point, they weren't doing great, but I don't know who made the call for that team fight to happen, but it was beautiful.
Definitely a lot of focus using that teleport, getting both laners down. Great lockdown there to keep the Aatrox in position. It's so hard for Aatrox to continue using that Q when he can't move, and he was rooted for a good portion of that fight, not able to get any lifesteal there to keep himself alive. Definitely a huge gold swing for Boise State. Gold mostly evened up at this point. Gold looking very even. Turret plating is going to fall soon, so everyone just trying to get what they can. Death of a Dream and Immortal Doge. On that mid lane tower, they're going to drop the Rift Herald that they picked up, so that's probably going to get them that mid lane tower.
Yep,
there it goes.
There it is.
First turret of the game over to UC Davis, so they are going to maintain a slight gold lead, but Boise State definitely coming back into it thanks to that team fight.
Yeah, so long as Boise State can instigate those team fights at a point in time in which they're advantageous for themselves, I do feel as though that they have, you know, the opportunity to keep this very equal despite those 1v1s not quite going into their favor, but we'll have to see.
They do have a very difficult early game. I think their laning phase is a bit rough, especially since they don't really have a strong way to bring down the Aatrox, and the Yasuo-Yone matchup is currently going in favor of that Yasuo. But their bot lane is looking very good. 3 eliminations onto that Kai'Sa. I can't stress how important it is to get that champion ahead. Once she starts scaling, she can dominate team fights, and her team has so much crowd control to get her passive proc multiple times. So Prominence Blade is going to get caught here, uses the Unstoppable to avoid being dragged back into a hit, and it's a good thing he did. Immortal Doge right on the edges there, ready to capitalize.
Yeah, you got to avoid those getting basically flanked or ganked, as I'm pretty sure it's referred to properly here in League of Legends. It's something that I fall into a lot, as we do see another fight
under the
happening.
tower, flashes away, but the Killer Instinct tries to follow. AD Carry is going to be the one to pick up, but meanwhile on the top lane, Explosive Cast into Last Breath, tries to find a target. Prominence Blade, unfortunately, Windwall going to block that Call of the Forge God. He will go down to Pseudonomus. They're probably going to lose that top lane tower as Boise State takes the one on the bottom side.
Yeah, I feel like that was more calculated on the side of Boise State. Give up your top laner and have your bot lane actually be able to pop off a little bit, claim a tower, and take the life of Midget right here during this fight. That tried to get away, just not quite enough. Also, fighting under tower was difficult, but they still managed to come out on top. And right now, we are currently tied with 7-7 and 1 tower, I believe both in favor of each team. But I think that top tower has gone down now. Yes, so it's 1-2 right now, but Boise State is definitely still in the running to keep this an equal match.
Overall, it was a tower for a tower and a kill for a kill. Galaxy Savage did get out of that safely. But they also managed to get the Jhin flash, and he's a very immobile carry, but the taunt comes through, the Lantern comes out. It does manage to pull himself back, but he brought a friend with him. Galaxy Savage gets the elimination. Unfortunately, Kaisa gets sniped down on the backside. Galaxy now getting chased. There's the curtain call. It's going to be Lapis, actually, who picks up the kill with the death sentence.
All right, right now we have 8-2 on the not in favor of Boise State, more on the side of UC Davis. But is that kill differential really too bad of a differential to have this early in the game?
It's only 2 eliminations at this point in the game. It's just a drop in the ocean. Certainly, it does have you get a slight gold lead. Thankfully, both of those buffs are going to go onto that Thresh, so they're not going to be going over to Midget. Would be a much more terrifying champion to have that on. Prominence Blade might be caught out here.
Run, Blade, run.
Does manage to thankfully use that speed boost from the Cloud Dragon, who is the Dragon of the Rift this game. We will not be seeing any Infernals. Using that speed boost just to get himself out of the way of the Aatrox.
It looks like UC Davis is setting up for something up here. What are they trying to do?
Most likely they're going to try for that Rift Herald. They do have 4 members in position, so they do have control of that. Galaxy Savage clearing out a Vision Ward. Boise State doesn't really know for sure if it's going on. They do attempt to close in. Death Sentence does find a target. The box comes down. Galaxy Savage rooted and eliminated here. AD Carry not able to lock people down. Pyko Rick gets some damage out. Second Death Sentence finds Gimmick. That could be bad. Hero's Entrance does manage to ward people off, but Tsunodamas, the Mortal Dose comes from the back, picks up Gimmick. Boise State caught in a pincer. That's going to be Rift Herald over to UC Davis.
Yeah, it seems like there was a bit of a late engage and not a full team engage from the side of Boise State there, as we did have a couple stragglers kind of come to the front line at the last possible minute. So I don't know if that was fully planned and thought out completely, or if they should have just given up the Rift Herald and, you know, given it over without giving up the deaths.
Definitely would have been a better choice. They allowed enough time there for Immortal Doge to come all the way around the back of their party, flank them from behind. So they're now going to move down to that dragon. It will be spawning here in just a moment. There it is, first Cloud Drake of the game, and most likely going to go over to UC Davis. There's no contest from Boise State.
Yeah, this is probably the case of let's not do that again.
That's going to be UC Davis' second dragon of the game. Slight gold lead here. Curtain call comes out onto Prominence Blade. There's 5 members in the bot lane. I feel really bad. I don't think he's going to be getting away anytime soon. Trying to just buy some time for his team in that mid lane. He is actually surviving for a very long time, but they give the elimination over to Death of a Dream.
I feel as though that positioning was not in favor of our players whatsoever, and that might have been a misplay coming out from Boise State. They need to be keeping an eye on the location of these other players a lot more, because I feel like they're getting caught off guard a few too many times.
Turrets are getting traded, so mid lane over to Boise State, but UC Davis picks up that bot lane along with their elimination onto Prominence Blade. We do see Gimmick now getting advanced on by Death of a Dream, forced to back away through the minions, but that Yasuo can still keep on dashing. Here comes
Gimmick! Get that kill, Gimmick!
Using that killer instinct, AD Carry doing a great job keeping him alive, but Rift Herald comes out in the bot lane. They are going to pick up another turret. Galaxy Savage, Pykel Rick, and Prominence Blade up against 4 and a Rift Herald. Shelly is going to be getting off that second charge here. Very low on health. Death Sentence does find a target, though. Manages to get out. Pykel Rick, though, maybe caught in a hard place. Uses the ultimate to find 2. Midget's going to be on a killing spree, though, as he picks him up. Prominence Blade now caught out by 3 members, 4 members on his own. Nowhere to go. That is going to be a double kill over to Midget as they now advance onto this inhibitor. Thankfully, the members of Boise State have backed up to try and join the fight. AD Carry not able to find a target. Death Sentence onto Gimmick. That's going to be huge. Immortal Doge going to pick him up. Galaxy Savage now slowed, caught out, ignited, brought down by Midget. That is a 6 elimination Jhin now as they pick up their first inhibitor of the game, and it's only AD Carry here. They could look to pick up Nexus turrets.
Yeah, I think that they're not stopping this bot lane push that's happening right now. There's just not enough front lane damage coming out from Boise State, as we only see 3 of the 5 champions down here because they are getting those straggling kills that keep happening over onto Prominence Blade so frequently that it's allowing them to have full team engages while Boise State's down 1, but they are now disengaging and backing up, but we might see a soft re-engage. However, those health bars are looking really low for the side of UC Davis.
Boise State just trying to chase them out of the jungle, try and get as many eliminations as they can. They did manage to pick up Death of a Dream's Yasuo on the way out, thanks to a good, well-placed Ignite, but they also spent something. Aatrox, meanwhile, finds Galaxy Savage. He has to ult to survive just a little bit longer, but he's getting pulled away from his team. Does manage to dash over the wall, but he's followed by the Aatrox. Curtain Call comes out, slows Gimmick down, but Gimmick is now in pursuit. Has to watch out for that Gragas over the wall. Does manage to dodge him. The Predator proc comes out. It's shut down over to the side of Galaxy Savage. Over the wall, Hero's Entrance, ensuring the disengage. So overall, Boise State doing a great job following up on that, really punishing for the engage, but they do need to watch that bottom lane.
I won't lie, I was a little concerned about the AD carry and Gimmick trying to pursue those other champions as they were disengaging because of just the ability usage that went out. Just for them to survive while they were chasing was a bit risky, but it played into their favor.
Blade being caught out. There's the Flay. He is still healthy. Death Sentence, unfortunately, predicting potentially a flash, but does not find it, so Prominence Blade is going to survive this time.
And it looks like we've got double commits happening in both mid and bot lane right now coming out from UC Davis, so they've just basically admitted that the top lane's not really going to be playing into everyone's favor right now, forcing everyone to have these fights in mid and bottom, which is interesting because honestly, if you're just trying to go for a full push on the inhibitor, I'd just go top.
UC Davis now has established full vision control of this top side. Boise State must know this is going on. This is that Baron buff we were talking about earlier. It's 22 minutes into the game, and they've got 4 of the 5 members here with the Gragas on standby. Boise State is definitely watching for their chance to engage here.
Are they going to try to get a kill still on this? Oh, they're coming in.
There's the attempted engage. Taunt comes out, finds 4 members. Red team is going to pick up that Baron, so UC Davis does have control of it. Death of a Dream, though, getting awfully low. Mortado's going to pick up Galaxy Savage on the backside of that. AD carry, though, picks up Death of a Dream. That's a big knock up there in the middle of that fight. There comes the taunt, but he doesn't have the health to survive. It's just Prominence Blade and Gimmick against 3. Gimmick goes down, just Prominence Blade. That's going to be the quadra kill for the Gragas. That's going to be the ace for UC Davis.
Oh my. Okay, so what does ace means? You got a trip kill?
Ace means that you have wiped out the entire opposing team.
Oh, that's at least it's nicer than saying team kill, I suppose.
Baron power play is now in effect. UC Davis going to use that onto the mid lane here to buff up their minions. Boise State not really there, able to take that, so UC Davis definitely getting at least 1 tower out of this power play before they back off. And hey, the dragon's up, so why not pick up another Cloud Dragon, get yourself a little bit more ultimate cooldown reduction for those explosive casts and those last breaths.
Yeah, and it looks like the side of Boise State is really focused on maintaining control down on the lower bot lane right now to ensure that their inhibitor isn't getting any minion damage, and trying to slowly push up and maybe catch up to UC Davis in mid, but I'm not positive. They have to come up with some sort of game plan right now because it looks like, you know, this game's really swaying in favor of UC Davis.
Definitely. They currently have about approximately a 9K gold lead over the side of Boise State, so Broncos in a bit of a rough position. We have seen teams come back from bigger gold deficits than this, but Boise State has to watch that bot lane. They have to protect it. Currently, Prominence Blade is there, stopping those minions. Does have the wave clear to keep that going. But now UC Davis can kind of just pick and choose a lane to shove, and it looks like they're going to pick that top lane since that turret is still very available.
All right, so for Boise State to catch up, to close this gap that's forming right now, what would be the strategy that they need to be looking at? Since obviously we're just getting a full top lane push happening right now from the side of UC Davis, and it looks like we sent Gimmick over to try and stop it. What else can Boise State be doing here?
At this point, Boise State really needs to find fights that favor them. They need to be the initiators. Right now, they're playing very reactively into UC Davis, so they need to pick an objective and either force UC Davis to fight around them or take the objective.
All right, so pick the fight location and make the fight engage. You pick the fight and you pick the engage time. That is something that carries over from Overwatch. So that's something that I will now be keeping a lookout for because it looks genuinely like UC Davis is the one that's honestly picking the engage locations and you know, forcing Boise State to always be reactionary.
Death Sentence find AD carry. There's the explosive cask on the 2 into the last breath. Curtain Call comes out for the entire team. Midget is legendary now as Gimmick falls. Galactic Savage does manage to turn things around, picks up an elimination for himself, but things are looking bad for the Broncos as he goes down to Lapis. AD carry doing what he can, but Rick not having the help, forced to flash away. He does survive. Taunted under tower, takes some damage. Prominence Blade barely alive. AD carry knocking up with the Justice Punch is going to get caught out. Lapis is going to pick up that elimination. Favorable for them. Unfortunately, Prominence Blade also going to fall. That's going to be a second inhibitor. Rather, the other inhibitor has respawned, but they have the ability to very quickly rotate down if they want to, or just go straight onto those Nexus turrets. After all, it's just Rick. Make that nobody as a Mortar Doge dives underneath with that AP Gragas, picks up his 10th elimination of the game. It's just Gimmick now to answer. Does manage to get that shutdown in response as the Nexus turret falls. Unfortunately, though, looks like that elimination is going to set up UC Davis as the winner for Game 1.
Yeah, one of the things that is something I'm still adjusting to within League of Legends, that anyone who's unfamiliar with the game itself that's watching is, you know, your death counter increases every time you die.
And of course, your top plays for the game are sponsored today by Idaho Army National Guard. Idaho Army National Guard is a proud supporter of Boise State esports. Top plays presented by them as they invite you to take your impressive critical thinking skills into real time. With more than 10 jobs offering a $20K bonus and your degree of choice paid for, the Idaho Army National Guard is the best team out there. Reach out on Twitch at iGuard Gaming.
All right, so I saw this plan coming out from UC Davis this evening against the Boise State Broncos. I think those early kills, as little importance as we pressed on them in the beginning, actually were playing more into their favor, because if you noticed, the major crowd control characters that Boise State had were the ones that had that death counter constantly going up, so their respawn timers were insanely high by the time that Nexus fight occurred. I feel like that was planned.
I think that one of the big things that really got them ahead was getting that Gragas ahead early, using that top lane advantage, not just to get that Aatrox going, but the Gragas, having that extra items, having that extra cooldown reduction, allowed them to use those explosive casts. Breaking news, Garen has been arrested in the jungle. He has to admit he was just trying to gank bot. And as someone who plays Garen jungle, understandable getting caught out there.
This is the cutest thing I have ever seen, and I absolutely adore that this has been made.
I really appreciate the fact that this is, of course, Garen's second best skin in the game, depending on how you feel. If you're playing into the Darius matchup, you have to go God King. But otherwise, this is my personal favorite.
I won't lie, my favorite skin of all time is still the Draven mascot skin, because it gives me nightmares.
Draven. Twice the Draven. But that's going to do it for Game 1. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll come back for Game 2 up against UC Davis.
Legendary parts for legendary wins.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
NationalGuard.com to begin your Guard adventure. Legendary parts for legendary wins.
To the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena, week 2 of the College League of Legends tournament in the Star League. Boise State and 9 other schools are making up the Mountain West Conference. As the defending champions from the fall, there is a target on the Broncos' back. Now that we've finished game 1, UC Davis had a very dominating first game over the Broncos here.
Yeah, so going into game 2, I anticipate seeing some different bans coming out from the side of Boise State, considering at least the skill ceiling that has been set by UC Davis, at least so far. Definitely trying to shut down the top lane a little bit more might come into their play.
Yeah, I think there was a few misplays, in my opinion, by the side of Boise State. There were a lot of circumstances where they sent Prominence Blade off on his own just to try and farm in a lane. But unfortunately, he ended up getting himself caught out multiple times by multiple members of UC Davis collapsing on top of him. And then they didn't have him to block for Gimmick later on in those fights, which led to their main carry getting caught out. Also, I think one thing that really aided UC Davis was they had this fantastic combo with the Gragas, who we're seeing here on our screen right now. Overall, that Gragas very dominant, got ahead early. It was that last breath combination with the Gragas and the explosive cast that I think really propelled their team fights ahead.
All right, so I got to ask, for our top lane, if we stick with the same champion, is there an opportunity, because I totally understand, you can get speed buffs and things like that, but would it be advantageous to choose a champion that has the opportunity to be a little bit more of a tanky build so they can sustain themselves longer on that top lane?
Well, Orin is, in fact, one of the greatest tanks in the game in terms of sheer durability. But when you get put that far behind early on, when you're getting constant jungle pressure, it can be really hard to pick up the gold. That's probably why they tried to send him into those solo lanes. But maybe sending him along with a carry, letting him play with the rest of the team, could have been a better decision, even though he was that far behind, just so that they can have that team fight. This was a beautiful dive here underneath that tower, forcing out the flash, using the killer instinct to lock down this Jhin. That was what started getting that bot lane ahead. But we also saw UC Davis having an equally successful tower dive on that top side of the match. It seemed like everywhere Boise State tried to go, UC Davis doing a great job matching it on the other side.
All right, so the things that I feel like need to be kind of tuned up on, if we stick with the same champions or a very similar champion selection going into the second round, is choosing smarter engages for the side of Boise State. Obviously the 2v1s that were happening, Boise State mainly came out on top, except for the occasional gank happened, and so it was a 2v2 and both teams backed off, or one went down and then the other two backed off. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm talking about the situations where we had vision control, we saw the rotations happening. When those things are happening, pinging your teammates, making sure people are going to be ready to follow up on that fight and turning it in your favor needs to be something Boise State watches a little bit more here. But I could be completely wrong, as I'm very new to League of Legends.
Yeah, I do think that there's very much a communication sort of focus on these games. Boise State caught out multiple times getting picked off there. Reminder, this is Boise State up against UC Davis in the Collegiate Star League. This is game 2 that we are going into. Really excited here to see exactly how the Broncos are going to respond.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I mean, this is a best of 3, correct?
Yes, this is a best of 3. So the team who wins 2 games gets to take the whole victory. This is the Collegiate Star League, in which there are 416 teams playing across 39 divisions, including 2 Boise State teams. You play best of 3 games against everybody in your group, and the top 3 in every group move on to the playoffs, which start in February. And hey, it's February. Playoffs are here. We're almost starting.
Yes, it's February, the month of love, and also African American History Month as well. So don't forget to, everyone, operate with empathy and love every day.
Empathy and love indeed. But these 2 teams not really going to be showing each other much empathy and love here on the Rift, going for the victory here. Boise State currently in the top of the standings, so definitely looking for a way to be able to bring themselves back in this game to try and maintain their top position here in the league.
I mean, coming out on top, as you mentioned earlier, puts a giant red X on your back, and it makes you the target for a lot of scouting focus. So going into this match, Boise State had to know that UC Davis was basically going to be shutting down everything that they knew was working in their favor previously. So they have to completely reanalyze their gameplay a little bit and go into these with a different mindset than what they've been using previously, in my opinion.
You can see your Broncos now here on the bottom of the screen. Prominence Blade, Galaxy Savage, AD Carry, Gimmick, and Peikelrick. Bit of a difficult first game for them, not quite managing to win any of their lane matchups, but did manage to keep themselves fairly stable into some of those late game team fights where the combination between the Gragas and the Yasuo with the explosive cask in the last breath really started tearing their team apart.
I have faith that they'll have the opportunity to turn this around. After all, it is a best of 3, so this is Boise State's opportunity to bring it back, so to speak. They have to, step up their game from the previous one, and those misplays that you and I noticed and mentioned need to not happen during this next match. Otherwise, that's going to spell their doom, because I feel like those spawn counters at the end of the game are like your biggest downfall when you have a full team fight happening in a lane.
Looks like we are now moving into the draft. I'm interested to see exactly what both sides have changed. That Shen is still going to get banned away. Very strong global presence. Not surprised to see it gone.
I also like how now we have the opportunity to see the chat. Hello, I can't read your name because it's very dark blue. I'm also blind. That's why I have glasses on.
Darius is going to be that next ban. Boise State not wanting to deal with that champion in the top lane, already getting bullied enough by the Aatrox as it is. You don't need a Darius to come in and get the pentadunks on you. Pyke is going to be the ban on the opposite side, so perhaps we are going to see a new champion banned away, because at the very least the order has changed, and Peikelrick not going to be able to play his favorite champion.
Oh, poor Peikel.
Not a big surprise when you literally put that champion in your name. We had a brief flash over there on the side of Boise State. It looked like it was going to show that Samira again, which was being used for the Seraphine earlier. That wouldn't surprise me. It is in fact Seraphine, so she is going to be taken off that table. Very powerful champion in the current meta with her heals and with her crowd control. Great champion. Got to get that off the table just because it's strong in the meta. Jax is going to be banned away in that top lane, so we are going to see one champion available to us from the previous game. Prominence Blades Camille is up on the table for Boise State if they want to take it.
I'm not going to lie, Riot, I'm going to give it to you on this one. Your champion art is beautiful. I love looking at it.
I think there are still a few of the older splash arts that maybe need to get a little bumped up. I think it's mostly champions that need to be updated. Thank goodness that Udyr was successful in securing the champion who is going to be reworked next. The Garen ban.
Garen's getting
I'm actually
banned.
a little offended
What?
by this. I'm not even in this game. What are you doing, Boise State? Are you just trying to mock me?
I feel like that was a mock to you, and that's the only reason why it got banned.
I feel a little hurt inside, guys. why are you doing this to me? It is going to be the Camille is going to be the first pick up there for the Aggies in that top lane. Very strong top lane champion, and more importantly, acting as a fourth ban to get it away from Prominence Blade, who's going to answer with Irelia. So Irelia, definitely an AD-focused champion, and you would think she would struggle into Camille. But both of these champions actually deal a lot of true damage to each other. Kai'Sa going to be picked up. Most people consider her to be the stronger of the two really powerful bot lane carries.
All right, I got to ask, what's the difference between just damage and true damage?
True damage ignores defenses. So it doesn't matter how much armor and magic resist you have. You're going to be taking the full amount of damage with no resistance. Rakan going to be the pickup on the other side. A great engaged support champion. Going to be picked up with the Xayah. So the lovers duo in the bot lane.
I love it.
I absolutely love playing Xayah and Rakan. Not because I'm good at Xayah or because Rakan is my favorite, but just listening to them flirt with each other while they play in the bot lane is the cutest thing ever.
One of the other things Riot does well, there's a lot of League of Legends lore, and I am familiar with this romance, so that makes me happy.
Swain going to be the pickup on the other side, so Peikelrick very happy to have one of his favorite supports there in that champion pool. Will bring some great crowd control and sustain to the table. Galio is going to be banned away. Very powerful champion. Not too surprised to see it taken off the table. They don't want UC Davis to get their hands on it.
All right, now we are down to the final two picks. Who will it be? Who will the bans be? Nobody knows.
Well, considering the champions that they have picked so far, there is still a jungle and a mid laner available for UC Davis. Yone going to be the ban away, getting that away from Boise State. Maybe they feel like that champion had the potential to pop off. Did put up a pretty good showing, all things considered. So that champion banned away. On the side of Boise State, they also have their mid laner still available. Grog is going to be taken off. That was a wise choice from the side of Boise State, denying that last breath explosive cast combo, and it was an absolutely dominant champion in game one.
I'm interested to see if anyone plays Olaf.
Well, Kane's been taken off the table, so Olaf still available, was banned in the previous draft. Very strong sustain thanks to that Gore Drinker and his W, so a very powerful champion still left up on the table. Poppy, okay.
Ooh, Poppy's adorable.
So Poppy, I think, is a very interesting choice up in that top lane. Is an answer, ironically, to Camille here. We thought that it was going to be an Irelia top lane, but it's probably going to be an Irelia mid now that the Poppy has been revealed into that Camille. Sets up that barrier. If you try to dash into that as Camille with your hook shot, you're just going to go bonk. Seraphine, that's going to be Sejuani, the jungler, picked up on the other side. Another very tanky, engaged jungler, but unlike the Gragas, not able to set up a huge knockup for a Yasuo. So definitely looking for a very different look on their team already. Very different composition overall. One more slot available to them. Let's see what it's going to be. Most likely going to be a mid lane champion here. It's going to be Echo.
Ooh. All right, Boise State, what's the answer? Who's your final pick?
Given their team composition here, they do have still a lot of flexibility. Poppy could go support, could go top. They have the top lane potential for the Swain, the Irelia, the Poppy. They have a lot of mid lane potential. Heck, you could even send Kai'Sa mid. I wouldn't personally recommend it. I like to have her in that bot lane for the support to allow her to scale safely into those games. Both teams, though, very much looking like they want to have these team fights again. And Corki actually going to be that final pick. A bit of a surprise to me. He's been struggling a little bit in the new games thanks to the changes to Triforce.
All right, so with these two compositions picked out, for the side of Boise State, what do you think the main strategy is?
Given the side of Boise State, I think there's a lot of focus around lots of having carries from multiple angles. They do have the Corki and the Kai'Sa, but Irelia also has the potential to carry the game. Swain can be terrifying if he gets going from that support role. Ironically, it's Prominence Blade who likes to play those carry top laners, who's going to be committed to that tank role like he was earlier, this time playing the Poppy here. So I expect that they're just going to use the Poppy to ward off the Rakan, ward off the Camille, ward off the Sejuani, ward off the Echo, just trying to prevent those dashes from getting onto their backline. So overall good pick there, and as a result, they'll have that backline to constantly poke and harass if they can manage to maintain a front line between themselves and the side of the UC Davis Aggies.
All right, so we're once again looking at more of a composition that's going to shine during probably mid and late game than early game.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think it's a particularly strong lane phase. One thing they do need to watch out for, though, is that there is an equally devastating team fight on the other side. Sejuani was meta for the longest time during the Cinderhulk meta for a reason, with that AoE ultimate very well able to set up her team in those crowded conditions, and that even if you don't get hit by the stun, that AoE slow sets up Xayah perfectly for the Featherstorm. So very scary composition to get caught in an area.
Oh my, okay, so this is an AoE type of character. The only AoE I played in this game obviously was Sona, so I'm very familiar with the ability to slow enemies and stun them with my Q ability. So obviously if you can play that into any of these other champions that the Boise State side had selected with that slowdown, that's deadly. That can be real deadly. But you have to make sure your communications are like on lockdown and you're making sure that the engage is happening at the right time so that you can utilize that ability to its fullest.
I am a little concerned about Boise State's ability to disengage, but we're going to quickly talk about Doc's keys to the game for League of Legends. Understand your composition, understand your win condition, respect the opposing team's spikes, and play your game. This was brought to you by Count. Count's Identity Trust Global Network delivers real-time fraud prevention, account protection, and enables personalized customer experiences for more than 9,000 leading brands and payment providers. Quick and accurate identity trust decisions deliver safe payment, account creation, account creation, and login events while reducing digital fraud, chargebacks, false positives, and manual reviews. Go to count.com to learn more.
Side note, to anyone that used unemployment, you might want to go get that. Just a heads up. Sorry to ruin your day.
It's definitely good to take care of your financials, but here Boise State's financials are concerned on their gold earnings and getting to those big power spikes, getting ahead early. They don't have a lot of ability to protect themselves from those engages. They're very reliant on that Poppy to be able to stop the dashes from closing in on their backline.
Okay, so one of the things that I won't lie, coming into this game tonight, I was given the opportunity to kind of study up a little bit on League of Legends, and as we all know, Doc's lovely assistant, Not Koba, was previously on our League of Legends team, so I sniped his old journal out of one of our storage units and was looking at it, and one of the key things that really stuck out to me was this idea of stopping the bleeding of the team fights. And so that is, disengaging, as we brought up. And so I really feel like that is a key point that was not focused on for Boise State during that last game. There was a lot of team fights that drug out, team fights that there was half engages from part of Boise State's team, and then the rest of the team would come in after they were already down. Granted, yes, there was some tasty targets, as Doc would like to call them, but they had already disengaged far enough to the point behind their own teammates that Boise State trying to go after them was not viable. So I really hope that they focus on, stopping the carnage, just disengage. Take those smart fights, use your vision control to your advantage, and make sure you are not getting ganked by the enemy as frequently as you were.
UC Davis definitely played very well to their strategy. They knew what they wanted to center the composition around with that Gragas and the Yasuo, just trying to get them ahead. By the time the game was over, that Gragas ended with 10 eliminations on an AP Gragas. So you had a huge damage explosive cast going into a huge damage Last Whisper, and Boise State didn't really have a way to defend against that. Going into the new game, if we look at these compositions that you could see here on the bottom of the screen, once again, Boise State very reliant on that Poppy to protect them, to protect their backline. Not a lot of tank coming out from anything other than maybe the Swain, maybe the Irelia, but they don't typically don't pick up their tank items until later in the game.
This is Swain, and this is Irelia?
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm learning.
And there is always more to learn in League of Legends. So let's see exactly what have these teams learned from each other going into this game. Boise State definitely being taught a lesson, and we'll see what exactly they pick up from it.
Yeah, one of the things I will throw out there as someone who scouts frequently for Overwatch is scouting is something that plays vastly into the world of Overwatch and esports in general, just like it does into physical sports like football and basketball. Scouting team strategies, figuring out what they are good and are not good at. And one of the best things you can do for scouting, because everyone loves broadcasting and streaming, is pop into one of the players' streams and see how they communicate with their own teammates. Even if it's not with their actual team, you can pick up on a lot of the things that they do incorrectly.
We're now preparing ourselves to move into Game 2. 30 minutes from now, we're going to be crowning the best of the rest. So at this point, how do you think it's going for Boise State?
So the best of the rest, is that going to be one of our players or one of their players? How does this work? Can you explain?
Well, we're talking about the best of the rest. We've got a lot of teams who are very close to tying for that first or second place position.
Oh, I gotcha. So we'll be crowning the best. Okay, all right. That doesn't sound like it.
I'd like to think Boise State is the best and everyone else is the rest, but we'll see how this game plays out. We are now, everyone's setting up. Nothing too crazy going out from either team.
Minions have spawned.
Very calm.
Yeah, both teams looking like they're setting up just to get that early buff out on both their sides. No one's really doing anything too crazy.
That is going to be a Poppy in the jungle, actually. Galaxy Savage picking that up. That's not something I personally expected, so just goes to show how versatile some of these champions are. Yes, that's going to be Pykel Rick playing Swain support in the bot lane with a quirky mid AD carry playing into that Echo. So definitely that Poppy being in the jungle, throwing off my predictions here, but it is going to be a fairly regular start for both teams. Man, when was the last time I saw Poppy jungle? This is not a champion who particularly popular in that role, usually in that top lane. And with that Camille, it was one I was expecting. Good route there by Pykel Rick, but the engage comes back on. Ignite comes out. Gimmick is taking a lot of damage. Pykel Rick now left on his own. Both of them brought down to low health bars, but they did manage to trade some back onto Midget. So potions are going to get popped. That is one summoner spell down for the side of Tsunodamus. They do get a good attempt there. The Ignite does come out onto Midget. His health bar is very low. Are they going to get back? No. Heal is burned, though. A good attempt comes out. Midget very low, though, but Pykel Rick also very low. Press the attack procced on him. They do get that level up, and that's going to give them a little more health. Potions pop for both sides. No potion for either side now on the bottom. Very aggressive answer. We see every time Pykel Rick manages to land that snare, we see the engage from the Rakan on the other side. So very dangerous. You have to pay very close attention to both opponents. Meanwhile, stun in the top lane, Prominence Blade, not able to capitalize on it, but does a significant amount of damage even through that shield. But very low health bars. We see a gank now from Galaxy Savage.
Yes,
he does get the slow. There's the flash. Puts up that barrier to prevent it run away, and they do manage to pick it up first blood, and even with a tower shot, Galaxy Savage able to make it away.
So I know that the Poppy pick, especially the way that Poppy's being played for the side of Boise State, threw you off a lot, Glovely. However, because it threw you off so much, I would like to point out that that was intentionally done. It's something that Boise State loves doing, is, pulling out the unexpected while still kind of giving the idea that you're going to use it in the way that everyone thinks you are, and so it throws off the way that a team plans to play into you right out the gate.
Meanwhile, back on the Rift, we see both AD carries pick up eliminations on each other, trading back and forth. One last auto attack, giving each of them their first elimination of the game. They're going to back and pick up whatever they can to come back to the lane. It's going to be a Cole for the Zaya.
Oh no, Pykel!
Our focus. Pykel very low on health, but he is able to get out safely. Rakan not able to follow up, and the Sejuani going to show herself on that bottom side of the map.
Oh, we've got AD carry trying to have this 1v1 happening in the mid lane, but I don't know if this is really going to be into his favor. There's a lot of minions still up for the side of UC Davis in the mid lane right now. And his health bar is already dropping below halfway without getting anything on Dream. I feel like that might be an advantageous disengage right there and wait for the opportunity to strike to when you can actually take them out. Or wait on your gank.
Yeah, AD carry definitely does have that range advantage, but unfortunately not really able to pressure it. We do see up in the top lane, Galaxy Savage is waiting for a potential gank here. just waiting for him to step up a little too far. Prominence Blade watching very carefully here. Does step up with the hook shot, gets the stun out of Prominence Blade. That's a low health bar, but here comes Galaxy Savage. There's the attempted slow. It's 2 versus 1. Stun doesn't land. Galaxy Savage in a dangerous spot. There comes the Q. Pseudonymous is actually going to pick up the elimination in a 2v1 scenario.
All right, so that's slowdown. I honestly thought it landed. Why didn't it land there?
Honestly, just an unfortunate hitbox position. Pseudonymous able to get himself out. Stun lands there, though, onto him. Gonna take a lot of damage. Prominence Blade does pick up the elimination thanks to that Conqueror. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, Immortal Doge trying to close in on Boise State's bot lane, but they are able to back away safely.
Right now, both teams are pretty equal when it comes to both gold and kills. The 2 to 3 early game, not that big of a deal, but as we did see, that early gap that Boise State had that was more in favor of UC Davis in the last game did come out to be their enemy by the end. So hopefully, you know, this plays more to the favor of Boise State, as we do see UC Davis going after that first Drake. What type of Drake is that?
That's going to be the Cloud Drake for the first dragon of that game. A little bit of ultimate cooldown reduction. We'll see what the next Drake is eventually. We'll see it soon. But in the meantime there, Boise State losing that bot side advantage. Doing a lot of damage, though, to Midget. The Ignite is burned. Gonna use those potions to heal back up. Zaya picking up that coal early on means that she's definitely looking for a much more farm-based lane, trying to pick up as much extra gold and farm for herself as she can. Meanwhile, on the other side, double longswords picked up for Gimmick, probably going to be building that into as much damage as possible for his own team. Meanwhile, in this mid lane, still Poke coming out. Corky has hit level 6, so he's going to have those rockets have a little bit more damage available to him. But not a champion that's been really particularly favored in these preseason. Stun comes out up by Prominence Blade. Doesn't manage to follow up on it, though. Is going to use that passive to heal himself off, ward off. Ultimate comes out onto Pandemonious. Pseudonymous is going to close in, but the Hextech Ultimatum comes down. Does find the target, but Prominence Blade picks up the elimination.
It looks like right now we're watching this in the mid lane. It's going to be a 2v1 onto AD carry, but I don't think they're going to have a full engage. It's not a great spot to do that.
Mortar Doge going to pick up red buff, back away with a bleeding health bar. Let's take a quick look at this replay here up in the top lane. Prominence Blade taking the time, using his abilities to set up his passive and make sure he gets the maximum damage out of that. And as Pseudonymous trying to close in, realizes that in order to hookshot, he's going to have to go through the ultimate. Hextech Ultimatum just coming out to try and survive a little bit longer, but good play there.
It looks like AD Carry's not actually trying to do even a full push in mid lane, just kind of sustain and farm a little bit and prevent damage on that tower. Not looking for a full engage, not looking to get ganked off by one of the UC Davis players either. Very smart move. Just level yourself up and wait until your opportunity to strike.
It's 8 minutes into the game, and Galaxy Savage only just now uses Smite enough to pick up that Hailblade finish for himself. He's going to have that Chilling Smite to slow targets down. Good route there. Does manage to land up the follow-up. Not able to continue, though, in that bot lane.
And we've got a top lane fight happening right now onto Pykel Rick. Oh,
here's
it's a
Galaxy
2v1!
Savage!
The revenge from Galaxy!
There's the attempted lockdown, but doesn't manage to get it. Meanwhile, Mortar Doge has the time to come up. They are going to land that stun onto Galaxy Savage. That's a low health bar. Here comes the teleport. AD Carry is here, but so is Death of a Dream. There comes the stun onto AD Carry. That's a double kill to the Sejuani. It's Prominence Blade against 3. This gank went from a great play to a really horrible situation. Is trying to get through. Does manage to dash through. Gets the flash, but Shutdown is going to go over to the Echo.
I'm not going to lie. The jungle that we have coming out from the side of UC Davis is such a slow-moving champion that when we saw them on the lower right side in bot lane, their entire journey up until that next fight was probably just spent trying to stay out of vision to get ready for one of those ganks to happen. And they did a great job of it, but that's something Boise State needs to keep an eye on is, you know, those champions you don't normally pay attention to because of how little they do comes into play really quickly in those situations.
Yes, one of the downsides to having these tank junglers is that you don't have a lot of damage. So if Poppy doesn't manage to get a hard lockdown and get a lot of damage out from Prominence Blade, they're not able to take major objectives. Galaxy Savage does find out a Mortar Doge. They're going to get the ultimate Valkyrie, Omega Valk over the wall, shutdown, goes over to AD carry. He's going to pick up those double buffs. Meanwhile, Prominence Blade in the top lane, putting out a lot of damage, has that full stacks on the passive, but not able to chase underneath the tower. Galaxy Savage trying to find out a target, isn't going to find it. Prominence Blade uses the ultimate, charges in with his swords. Hextech Ultimatum comes down, does pick up the kill, but can he get out?
Fighting under the tower, so
shot.
risky, man.
He's going to pick him up. Does manage to get the elimination under the tower, but pays for it with his life.
Honestly, that's something I would have done. I would have been like, I can get the kill. I might die after, but I can still get the kill.
It's a low health bar. I have to get the elimination. I have to get that extra gold.
It's all that's needed. As we do see both of the bot players for UC Davis channeling back right now. We've got Pykel up top just chilling. Not too much happening right now, but we do see an engage happening in mid lane right now. Oh no! Oh, never mind, they backed off.
AD Carry took a lot of damage from that, but Death of a Dream doesn't have quite enough to be able to follow all the way up. Using the Valkyrie to back off, very low health bars, doesn't want to give up those double buffs over to that Echo, who similarly is sitting in a very nice position, while the Corki still hasn't quite finished his first item.
All right, I don't see any attempts on towers happening just quite yet. Just lots of farming happening in the mid lane. Nothing really going, like, it seems like the matchups are a little bit more equal. However, there might be something brewing down in the bot lane. You can see the converging of the UC Davis players around the Boise State bot lane players. However, they are able to back up, but they're getting separated. Poor Gimmick right there is gonna have to use Flash to escape. I don't know if it's gonna be enough.
It doesn't look. Whoa, actually, he gets out with just the tiniest health bar. Pykel Rick actually
used.
doing a lot of lockdown. Pops the ultimate. Here comes Poppy. There's a great Demon Flare. Pykel Rick picks up a double kill. Does end up falling, but Immortados picks him up. But now there's 3 members of Boise State trying to collapse here. Great knock-up from Galaxy Savage, but not able to follow up on it. Boise State now has that control in the top lane. Meanwhile, Prominence Blade fighting Death of a Dream here in that top. Does not land the stun, unfortunately. His health bar is low. He's taking damage from those minions. Actually gets some damage from the turret. Is going to go down, but Boise State now has control of that dragon. They're going to pick it up. There is the Sejuani on the backside. They have to be careful. Does charge in. Galaxy Savage gets a stun against the wall. They're going to pick that up with the dragon.
So that wasn't a Cloud Drake, though. That was something else?
That was an Ocean Drake, so that's regeneration over time. And now the mountains are rising because the 3rd Drake of the game causes changes to Summoner's Rift. You can see now all sorts of additional walls being set up in the Rift. That's fantastic for a Poppy who likes to slam you against them to get those extra stuns. That
sounds absolutely horrible for the side
made him in the
Davis.
mid lane. We saw that shield come out, keeping Pseudonym is safe, but very slow engagement. Just auto attacks. AD Carry not able to do anything to get out of that Hextech Ultimatum.
And we do see UC Davis pushing up on that mid tower down at the bot lane. I wonder if they're going to try and take it. However, both of the bot lane players for Boise State were waiting right there, so maybe that's not the most intelligent engage to be taking. And yes, they did back off.
We are now 13 minutes into the game. It is 9-9. The Boise State Broncos currently have a slight gold lead, approximately 1K there, over the side of UC Davis. Not a huge lead. We've seen games where the gold lead has gone completely out of control, but this is very even, all things considered, even with that slight lead.
There was a lot of adjustments made between this match and the last match for the side of Boise State. That much I can tell. They're playing things a bit smarter.
Definitely. Prominence Blade seems to be a lot more comfortable here on this Irelia pick, and that's not a big surprise. It is one that he's favored. Certainly into the Camille matchup, it wasn't one I was expecting to do particularly well, but they've been playing it very well. Galaxy Savage using this Poppy to great effect to get him ahead in that lane.
Is Poppy carrying a giant lollipop?
Yeah, this is Lollipoppy. This is the best skin.
That is beautiful.
It's the best Poppy skin, and it used to be even better when they had this ridiculous-looking face. Gonna use that Valkyrie to pull himself out of the stun, so great dodge there by AD Carry, who has otherwise been in a very slow poke-based game, as opposed to being able to aggress. That's one of the downsides to Corki. He doesn't really hit his big power spike until he picks up that Trinity Force in the mid-game, so still waiting on that very expensive mythic item. Prominence Blade pops out the ultimate.
Ooh.
There's a stun. Here comes Galaxy Savage. He's not able to follow up, though.
Man.
Able to get away.
Just a little bit of a mistimed engage there coming out from Galaxy. I know they're thirsty for blood and revenge because they did get taken out during their previous gank. attempt number 2 didn't go in their favor. Maybe attempt number 3 will go in Poppy's favor in the next one.
I gotta say, that was one of the longest ranged hook shots I've ever seen. If Galaxy had been just a little bit quicker, he would have cut it off, but very good evasion there by Pseudonymous. AD carry, meanwhile, does find Immortal Doge, taking out a ward. Isn't going to be able to stop him, but does put down a little bit of poke damage with the Frost Armor. Galaxy Savage able to make sure that they don't attempt any dives here.
We do see it looks like we've got some players backing from the top lane, even though we've got a soft engage coming out from UC Davis up there as well, so we might see a tower fall here pretty soon. Nope, Pykel's going to come up and put a stop to that right away.
Teleport used by Prominence Blade just to get back to the lane, so very interesting decision. Unfortunately, AD carry going to be caught out by the Echo, who is able to proc all 3 hits of his passive, but he will stay alive, but lose a significant portion of his health bar. There goes the passive from Pseudonymous. Stun not going to land. Prominence Blade still doing in an okay position. There's the hook shot. Doesn't land. Prominence Blade has full stacks of his
Beautiful
passive.
dodge there from Prominence Blade.
Trying to close in here. Unfortunately, looks like his passive, is going to get stacked back up. A lot of damage coming out, but here comes Sejuani. There's the hook shot on the Prominence Blade. He is stunned. Tries to find a fight, gets a good stun onto a target.
Disengage.
Charges in, here comes the Poppy. That's a huge knockback. Teleport comes in from the mid lane. Here's Death of a Dream trying to close things out. Good stun by Galaxy Savage is going to prevent him from following up. And amazingly, nobody falls in that trade. Meanwhile, on the bot lane, the quickening comes out onto Pykel Rick, who activates the Demon Flare to keep himself alive. Is able to back away. Teleport comes down to the bot lane. AD carry not able to follow up.
Not gonna lie, whatever ability was just used in that bot lane fight that made them look like angelic just gave me reminiscent thrills of the Devil May Cry series and using the Devil Trigger, so I love that.
Oh, if you think he's a reference to Devil May Cry, you should see Samira, who unfortunately not picked in this game. Gimmick on his own, just a significant amount of damage to that Xayah here. So 1, 1, and 3 picked up that Kraken Slayer, so getting a lot of extra true damage coming out of that item every 3rd hit. Prominence Blade is going to pick up the first tower for the side of Boise State. That's going to push their gold lead to approximately 1K.
The pace of this match seems a bit more equal, like Boise State upped their pace and forced UC Davis kind of back into a corner to really slow down and take their pushes more strategically. And I think that's playing more into their favor as they're trying to come around and get, and it looks like possibly snipe the kill on this Mountain Drake, but there's only 2 from the side of UC Davis. I'm not sure if there's going to be enough.
Galaxy Savage, what a play! Using that Poppy to stop the Sejuani from being able to get over the wall. Just a little donk. Nope, nope, this is my dragon. You don't get this.
Nice try. No kill stealing for you today.
This is mine. And that's going to be Mountain Dragon over to the side of Boise State, their 2nd dragon of the game. That Poppy really showing its weight, really carrying for this team, setting up so many advantages. So great pick overall for Galaxy Savage.
And we do still have this kind of back and forth fight happening in the mid lane, so interested to see how that plays out, or if it's just kind of going to be a permanent stalemate up there until, you know, they're needed for team fights.
I think the most amazing thing is that we've had several fights over these past few minutes, but no kills. I may have spoken too soon as Pykel Rick finds a lot of damage on the Midget. They are not going to continue following up with the Killer Instinct.
We do see that we have AD carry and Poppy both in mid lane right now. I think Poppy might be looping around to try and get down to the bot lane, however, as opposed to helping out AD in the mid, because it is such a back and forth fight happening. Looking up at the top lane, however, we have Prominence Blade going in for that stun and it lands, but there is the jungler following up right now. You need to get out of this fight, my friends.
There's no way out, unfortunately, with that Hex Tech ultimatum and the stun. Sejuani is going to pick up that kill. Galaxy Savage moving into the lane just to make sure they don't take that tower. Meanwhile, Boise State takes their 2nd tower here, this time in the bot lane. So UC Davis picks up that kill, but unfortunately they are going to lose a tower in response. That's still more gold over to the side of Boise State, so ultimately their victory here. And they also committed 2 ultimates to bring down that Prominence Blade in the top lane.
It looks like Bot lane's got a minor duo push happening right now, and there's no one from the side of Boise State there to prepare and stop them. So they might get a free tower right now, as it looks like there's a lot of focus on the top towers and protecting top lane from the side of Boise State.
So here's an interesting thing. Corki has actually picked up the Divine Sunderer instead of Trinity Force. That to me signals a focus on being able to bring down the beefy front line of UC Davis. Meanwhile, we haven't engaged in the mid lane. Gimmick is going to use the Killer Instinct to survive. Is able to dodge away. Stun comes out, locked up down under the tower. Michael Rick is still alive, using the Demon Flare just to ward people off, but is going to survive himself. But that's a great elimination shutdown. Thankfully for the side of Boise State, it went over to Lapis, and he's not going to be able to do too much with that gold.
Oh, get it. Last hitting when you're... Is Lapis playing support right now?
Yeah, Lapis is
Yep,
playing
last
support
hitting on
that
support
regard.
is never a good thing. I always get yelled at.
That's not entirely true. There are times when getting eliminations on your support, it's certainly better than not getting the elimination at all.
Yes.
Michael Rick, for example, using that Demon Flare earlier, he is currently the only member of Boise State with a bounty on his head, sitting at 2-1-0.
I have a bounty on my head. I do things good.
It feels good to have that extra gold as a support, especially when you're an AD caster like Swain, able to get that additional damage, and maybe some crucial items like that Zhonya's Hourglass we see in his inventory now. Looks like we're just gonna clear some wards away. Things going very slowly, no major objectives available except for that Baron, and nobody particularly eager to go after it right now. We do see Galaxy Savage gets a stun into the wall. He has AD carry there as backup. Valkyrie, but a good blast cone gets Immortal Doge over the wall and out of the way.
Yeah, there's a slight triple engage happening from UC Davis right there as well, so Boise State needs to be careful as they only have their jungler and
hook
AD
shot
down
onto
there.
Gimmick is able to get to the tower range. Meanwhile, teleport being committed. Here comes Prominence Blade. There's the ultimate. Is slowed over the wall, but Flash is able to get him away. Lapis, though, is going to be caught out, stuck on the wall, not able to dash thanks to Poppy. Gimmick picks up an elimination. Midget now in a bit of danger by himself against 4 members, but is able to hold on. They got to wait for that minion wave before they're able to do anything to that tower.
Yeah, right now we're at the 22-minute mark in this game, and it could go either way, I feel like. Lovely, do you agree?
Definitely. Boise State, though, definitely the ones in control of the game's pace right now, even if they aren't absolutely dominating. They do only have a slight one. Midget goes down to Gimmick there. Michael Rick getting chased down, but Tsunoma's going to get locked down. Stunned up against the wall. Michael Rick pops the Demon Flare.
So much damage
Barely
coming
any
out.
health left. Teleport used just to get AD carry to the fight, or what's that Prominence Blade? He's going to take a couple of tower shots on his way out, but he's going to back off, and Boise State now has complete control over this upcoming Mountain Drake.
I'm gonna be keeping an eye on this Mountain Drake over here, because I feel like there might be a sneaky attempt from UC Davis to try and steal it away, as Boise State got the last 2 without much of a struggle, but I don't think they're going to, because Poppy is down there and will just stun them as soon as they try to do anything.
Yeah, UC Davis actually going to pick up their first tower of the game. Traded for Boise State's 3rd and a Mountain Drake, so
Prominence
even though
Blade
it doesn't
picked up
seem
Trinity
like a very
Force.
huge gold difference for Boise State, they do have all 3 of those dragons, and they have the map opened up for them to roam around.
Wow, Poppy is very demanding.
I mean, you'd be too if you were from Demacia. Very, very much a law and order type of place.
Gotcha. All right, so what does the Trinity thing that Pykel picked up do for him?
It wasn't Pykel, it's Divine Sunderer picked up for AD carry. Trinity Force is normally the choice on, but in the meantime, Prominence Blade, gonna find out Pseudonomus here. Trinity Force, a great item for that champion. It grants additional damage on her Q or after any auto attack after she's used an ability.
What? Okay, that seems like it stacks hard.
Speed, stacking damage. It's a really good item, but a very expensive one that he's bought very late. Prominence Blade, though, may be caught out. The Hextech Ultimatum does come down. Here's the Sejuani. Stun does land. Unfortunately, Emotodo's gonna pick up that elimination, but once again, 2 ultimates burned, and 1 more turret goes down. This time in the top lane. Meanwhile, though, Pykel Rick picks up the shutdown for himself with that Demon Flare.
And this mid lane fight, like I said, it's just been back and forth, just trying to keep, it looks like the minion waves kind of pushing equally, but we have an engage coming out right now from, is that Dream right there?
Yeah, Dream using his ultimate to back away, but Pykel Rick is here.
Triple
There's
engage
the
from
catch.
Boise State
Not
happening.
able to follow up, but good knock up there from the Recon is going to keep him alive, even against 4 members of Boise State.
Right now, Boise State has 3 towers taken down, and UC Davis has 2, so Boise State's still kind of slightly in the lead when it comes to that regard. However, I feel like we might start to see a full bot lane push come out from Boise State to try and get one of those turrets and maybe one of the inhibitors down at the Nexus, but only time will tell.
They are doing a good job protecting that mid lane tower. That mid lane tower is so important because once you have that eliminated, you get so much freedom. Good jump away for a moment. I thought Galaxy Savage was going to have a stun there in the wall. Is going to be the one on top of that. Going to pick up that little bit more vision for his team. Clear out a ward. Playing it safe.
And we do have Pykel Rick pushing up right now on the bot lane with one of Boise State's players waiting, also trying to make sure that they aren't going to get caught out too much. However, there is nothing happening just yet.
Things are pretty calm. Both teams, I think, just trying to figure out where their objectives are. We do see Galaxy Savage wandering a little bit into the jungle. He does have that Dead Man's Plate that gives him so much more mobility, which is great if you're playing any sort of tank champion who needs to get into position. And especially for Poppy, who needs to line up the stuns on the wall. Pykel Rick, though, is found out in the jungle, but he's got Galaxy Savage to escort him out. Prominence Blade misses that stun. Not going to be able to pick that fight.
Yeah, but I do believe, except for that there is 1 tower left now at the bottom lane for Boise State to deal with, and so if they can get that taken care of, you might see a push soon.
Both of the mid laners here up in this top lane. AD Carry doesn't have teleport available, though, so if they want to pick up a fight, it's going to be Death of a Dream who will have that advantage. No way to interrupt that teleport on a Corki, aside from maybe a Mega Valkyrie. But in the meanwhile, things are going very slow. Both teams kind of just trying to pressure some turrets. We do see some stacking up here in that bottom lane, though. Sejuani may be jockeying for position, but they do know that the Swain's in the area, so they're not going to pick any fights here.
Yeah, it looks like Galaxy's just trying to use their foreboding presence to keep most of the UC Davis side calmed down and away from that mid lane fight. Even though they had 3 people there, it bought enough time for the other players in Boise State to come to the mid lane and possibly pinch off 2 of these players. However, it looks like Gimmick
in a
got
dangerous
caught
position.
out.
The ultimate does come through to get Echo out of here. But now this Sejuani taking so much damage in the front is going to get the shutdown, though, onto Gimmick. That's big for their team. Stun into the wall. Great play. Double kill over to Gimmick. And now Boise State has full control of this mid lane as the stun misses. We do see a follow-up engage. Prominence Blade lands the ultimate, but Flash gets him over the wall. Rakan is going to get out alive. Boise State just shoving these teams down, and now they have full control. If they want to go for this Baron,
I was about to say, is it Baron time? We going to go get him?
It's all 5 team members. Sejuani's out of the way. Boise State has full control over this Baron, unless some sort of miracle is going to happen, and it doesn't look like UC Davis is going to try for miracles. Maybe they're not the praying sort, so Boise State going to be the ones to pick up this Baron here at 28 minutes into the game.
We do see, however, 2 players on the side of UC Davis. 3 players are trying to push up right now onto Prominence Blade in the mid lane. Hopefully we don't get Blade caught out, as we do see it looks like Gimmick is catching up as well, so they are in the safe zone. And is that another Mountain Drake right there?
It is. It's going to be this is potentially the Dragon Soul, the Mountain Soul here for the side of Boise State. They pick it up. Here comes the Sejuani of the wall. He's a steal! He takes the Mountain Drake, but he might pay for it with his life. He's caught in the pit against all 5 members of Boise State. Gimmick unstoppable now at 6-2-3, but Dragon Soul being prevented from going to Boise State, and a little bit more tank going over to that Sejuani for his team thanks to that Mountain Dragon's padding of stats.
So does that mean that the opportunity to get the Dragon Soul is now gone?
Nope, that dragon will potentially spawn. They will continue spawning dragons until one team manages to pick up the soul, and then only the Elder Dragon will spawn over and over and over again. But Boise State, now their composition perfect for sieging here underneath this tower, using that Baron buff to wail on this tower. Quarter of its health currently gone now, but A lot of members of UC Davis here. Boise State not really able to put enough pressure. We do see a great shutdown over to Gimmick. Double kill now. 2 members. Demon Flare comes out just to ward them off underneath the tower. A great catch, putting down a lot of damage, but they're not able to get the kill, but they do get the turret, and now they're going to pick up the inhibitor. Boise State absolutely in control of this mid lane.
I wonder if they're going to continue. Yep, they're going for the push onto the Nexus turrets right now. I wonder if we're going to see a soft disengage at all, because there are spawns coming back to the side of UC Davis, but those health bars on the side of Davis are already dropping. Immortal is going to pick up Prominence Blade, but AD Carry is going to respawn and take up Lapis. Gimmick is now legendary. How high is the bounty on Gimmick's head?
Currently 700 gold, 9-2-4 on that champion. The ultimate comes out. It does find Gimmick, but he's able to get out alive. Poppy taking so much damage. The ultimate pushes away the Sejuani. Killer Instinct used just to try and get Midget down, but that health bar is falling on the Nexus. Boise State is going to pick it up. That's going to be the end of Game 2 for Boise State.
Woo! And we have to go into a Game 3 now. It is any man's game. I'm sorry, I'm just hyped.
We're now in a Game 3 situation, and hey, this is really cool. We are excited to announce that we will be broadcasting our first ever fighting tournament. If you are interested in competing in Street Fighter V, Tekken 7, Dragon Ball FighterZ, or Smash Ultimate, sign up at smash.gg/tournament/thebeatdown Boise State. And I don't know if you've played at fighting games, but I've been a big fan of fighting games over the year. I've participated in some small tournaments with Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I've played some Smash Bros. And Brawl. I love Smash Ultimate. I love Dragon Ball Fighters. I'm really excited.
So I am very familiar with Smash, however, because I only recently readopted the Nintendo gaming consoles into my life. I stopped kind of after the Wii. I've not played any of the new Smash games, so Smash Ultimate is not one that is in my repertoire. However, Street Fighter V and Tekken 7, I have been playing those games since I was an infant. Street Fighter has always been in my house. Same with Tekken. I love and adore those games. I know they're completely different than what most people would anticipate me loving, since I'm like, yeah, any game that has a storyline and a first-person shooter, hit me up with that. And these kind of don't have any sort of story, but they're much like Soul Calibur, another game that I also really enjoy. So you might catch me playing Tekken 7, or you might catch me casting if I can get that opportunity, because I would love to cast a Tekken game.
So what you're saying is that later we need to play some Street Fighter V.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
This is Boise State up against UC Davis in the Collegiate Star League. We just wrapped up Game 2, which was a Boise State victory. So moving us on into Game 3. It's a 1-1. Overall, Boise State really turned that around.
Yeah, I won't lie. It seemed like they went from having, that big team fight focused match and layout for their champion selection in the first one to going for more of that poke damage and engaging on, the more advantageous fights, the ones that obviously they had an advantage in. It's not just, we're just going to collide at the mid and see what happens sort of deal that was happening originally in the first game for the side of Boise State, but they definitely were, calculating fights. They were, finding out of position champions for the enemy team, and they definitely capitalized on taking those dragons and using the Drakes to their advantage, which they were losing out on frequently in that first match.
If there's one champion I want to highlight for that game, Galaxy Savage on that Poppy was instrumental to Boise State's victory, denied so many attempted engages onto his team. We were worried about the ability for Boise State to disengage from those fights, but they were on the aggressive, on the offensive, and controlled the pace for the entirety of that game. They never had to worry about disengaging. So much as just, hey, do you want to try and counter-engage on us? No, I didn't think so.
No, Poppy was definitely a foreboding presence in that entire rift. Anytime we saw Poppy kind of, getting ready for that gank or just making their presence known, the enemy team was backing off. That stun ability is so huge, and honestly, Poppy was landing them consistently, and we can see Doc over here with our game machine ready to take me on in some Street Fighter. All right, I may have to demonstrate my Street Fighter skills against Doc.
Better be careful, Doc. I can crush men's head between thighs like Sparrow's egg.
Oh no.
You gotta watch out for my Zangief, and maybe for my Dan Hibiki, but only in a few games.
Daniel, the deadly Street Fighter player.
You gotta use that level 3 ultimate ability. I was never particularly very good at a lot of Street Fighter growing up. I kind of just pressed buttons and hopes the guy on the other side would conveniently lose his health bar for me.
Yeah, that was definitely my mode of expertise when it came to, especially playing on like the arcade machines, because you don't have the luxury of hitting pause and seeing all the button layouts and the combos. You kind of just had to make them up as you went, and then whichever ones started to work out, you just kind of reiterated them. And throwing moves kind of just tick everybody off. Nice job, Doc.
There was a time when Ryu was talking, with his friend and fellow student, and he wasn't sure he had the right guy with him, so he's, are you Ken? And Ken's like, of course I'm Ken. And, here, look, come look. Sure you Ken. Thank you. I'm sure people are dying in the comments. I can tell you right now that Nerdy is dying in their seat. So we are about to go into a break. We'll prepare to come back for Game 3 of Boise State versus UC Davis. This one's for all the marbles, so stay tuned.
More dad jokes to come.
Legendary parts for legendary wins.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your Guard adventure.
Welcome back to the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. We're in week 2 of the Collegiate Star League here for the League of Legends tournament. Boise State and 9 other schools are making up the Mountain West Conference. Boise State, of course, playing against UC Davis here in game number 3. Having a very rough start with game 1, but game 2 really brought it back and had full control over the later stages of the game.
I am honestly very interested to see what champions we see coming out during the pick and ban phase, at least during this round 3, because from match 1, we had very, team fight orientated champions being selected for the side of Boise State, whereas in match 2, it was more smart engages, lots of poke damage, and, relying on those power spikes before you get those full engages happening. And also, we had the Poppy pick. 90% positive Poppy's going to be banned out during this next one just because of how dominant Galaxy was on Poppy.
Absolutely. The ability to just block off all of those dodges on the side of UC Davis, all of those dives, all of those jumps, all of those dashes, everything's trying to come in on top of Boise State, and Poppy just like, bro.
Not today.
Not today.
Well, okay, so if we do see Poppy ban out, is there a comparable jungler or even, mid or top, bottom, well, actually, yeah, any of the laners possibly that we could see that's comparable to the skill that Poppy has and those abilities, or are we going to kind of be out of luck and dead in the water on that front if Poppy's banned?
I mean, as far as denying movement abilities go, really the only champions available are Singed and Cassiopeia. But this is the Collegiate Star League, 416 teams across 39 divisions, 2 of which are coming from Boise State. You play a best of 3 against everybody in your entire group, and the top 3 in each group move on to the playoffs, which are starting here in February. So definitely teams trying to get their last games out to make sure that they are the ones who are able to take home the victory. Boise State sitting in a very comfortable first place, almost guaranteed to go off to those playoffs.
Yeah, 5-0. That's a nice record to have, and let's see if they're able to maintain it in this game against UC Davis, as it is a 1-1 best of 3 situation. So this next game is going to determine who gets all the marbles.
Just a reminder, your lineup for today is Prominence Blade in the top lane, Galaxy Savage in the jungle, AD Carry in the mid lane, Gimmick at AD Carry, and Pike'lrick playing your support. We also saw the ability for these players to be able to swap roles. We saw AD Carry playing in that support position and Pike'lrick playing the mid. So these champions and players, very versatile. First ban already. Boise State says, get that Darius out of here. We don't want to deal with that.
That's the third time we've seen that first ban come out from Boise State, and I have a hunch it's probably because someone on the side of UC Davis plays Darian very well and is just not someone they want to deal with.
Shen is going to be the answer in the opposite direction. Not going to let Boise State have the ability to teleport across the map. Very powerful champion. I think very strong for a tank. Cho'Gath actually going to be... that's going to be Seraphine. I was a little worried for a moment. Cho'Gath is a champion I love. I would love to see it in this game, but not a very particularly popular champion. Pyke, on the other hand, also not particularly popular in the fact that he's been banned all 3 games against Pike'lrick. That's what happens when you put a champion name in your username.
Yeah, this is why I'll never make my Battle.net ID. I love D.Va.
Yeah.
There will be no question as to what tank I'm playing and how to counter that just by going Zarya.
I don't know how Rist gets away with 1-800 Demacia, but Swain is going to be that second ban. 2 support bans. They really don't want Pike'lrick to have a good time, but Illaoi gonna go through on the other side. Interesting first pick there, as Illaoi has a lot of choices that other teams can use for that counter pick, and there's one of them, Kayle. Very difficult in the early game, but as soon as Kayle hits level 6, that entire matchup changes shape. That Gragas that was so dominant in the first game also gets through for the side of UC Davis. A lot of crowd control, and if he does choose to build that AP route like he did in the first game, some devastating ultimates. Hecarim is going to be the pickup for Boise State on the other side, so if there's a team that wants to start horsing around, it's Boise State and the Broncos. Galio is going to be the next pickup there, and those are champions that can really pair up well together in those engages. And it's going to be Yasuo, final pickup there for UC Davis. Again, that Yasuo-Gragas combo absolutely dominant in the first game, and now they've got a Kayle backing them up in case one of their health bars starts dropping.
All right, 2 more bans for both teams and 2 more picks. I'm interested to see what gets banned, and if we don't see a Poppy ban, I'm going to be a little concerned for the side of UC Davis.
Well, we do have the Hecarim locked in. That's probably going to be a jungle pick. You never know. It could go top, could go mid with the way things have been. Malphite is going to be banned away, so getting rid of that tanky engaged champion. Jax is going to be the ban in the other direction. Maybe these teams not entirely sure what kind of champions are going to go to what place. That's the danger of Boise State's flexibility. Camille going to be banned away. They're pretty sure that Illaoi isn't actually going into the top lane, even though we have seen Prominence Blade play it before. So perhaps expecting something a bit more versatile. One final ban, it's going to be the Aatrox. Don't want that in the top lane. Perhaps that Kale's not going into the top lane. Who knows? Boise State seems pretty confident that it's not. Jhin is going to be the AD carry lock-in, which means Kai'Sa, there we go.
Jhin is
moment
very
I say
scary.
it, locked in. If you're not tired of these 2 AD carries, you will be soon. This is the meta.
All right, and the last one to go is the support picks. And
Brand. So a very area of effect focused team fight composition for Boise State. Following up on that, Brand, and Bard, one of my favorite champions of all time, gonna take you on a magical journey there, locked in as the final pick for UC Davis.
All right, before we go into discussing these team compositions, I just want to give a quick shout out to Your Face, who just joined the Bronco Nation, and as one of Doc's previous band students, hello and welcome to the family.
And here we are for Doc's keys to the game in League of Legends. Understand your composition, understand your win condition, respect their spikes, and play your game. Doc's keys to the game are brought to you by Count. Identity Trust Global Network delivers real fraud protection, account protection, and enables personalized customer experiences for more than 9,000 leading brands and payment providers. Quick and accurate identity trust decisions deliver safe payment, account creation, and login events while reducing digital fraud, chargebacks, false positives, and manual reviews. Go to count.com to learn more.
And if you notice, that background shot is a beautiful front-facing live video feed coming from downtown. This is the front of the arena at 301 South Capitol Boulevard. While we are currently social distancing, we do not have guests able to be in here with us. But once we are able to, look for this building, look for the Big Venture College logo, my face, Soulpant's face, Modern Frost's face, all right there on the right-hand side. You'll recognize us and see our beautiful, we're not smiling because we're in-game, so we look like we're grimacing. But, you can see your players and you'll know the building. It's not super flashy, but when you cross by it, it's right next to the Grove. Once quarantine's over, come join us.
I'm told everyone gets this look on their face. It's very different when they're gaming, myself included. I've never seen what my gamer face looks like. So, but if we're talking about putting your gamer face on, both of these teams really need to do so as we're getting into Game 3 here. And this one is for all the marbles.
Yes, this is, not just a piece of the pizza pie. It's the whole freaking pizza that's coming in. They gotta, change things up yet again. Both the teams, obviously, different bands and picks that came out this time. I'm really interested to see how different both teams will be playing. What is the key concepts to the Boise State comp that they have picked?
They've got a lot of champions that like to fight sort of in an area. Alawi, once she sets up her tentacles with her passive, has the potential to solo entire fights, especially once she picks up that Gore Drinker. It is going to be prominence played on that Alawi in the top lane, so interesting that there were top lane bans going from UC Davis as the teams now set themselves up to prepare. But on top of the Alawi, you have the ability to use the Hecarim, the Brand, and the Galio all set up in that big area of effect. So if UC Davis gets caught in a congested area, they could be taking a lot of abilities, one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other.
Minions have spawned.
Early game, some pings going out. Potential vision there in that jungle. We can see Prominence Blade is set up in the bush outside the top lane. He is going to back off into his lane. Neither side found each other out yet.
We just kind of relax and really, easy early game. We got minions spawning.
You could meditate to this music, and I'd be totally fine with that. It looks like it's going to be pretty standard starts here. Both sides going to pick up their red buffs first, which means it's going to be rotating towards opposite sides of the map. So nothing too crazy going on here.
So by taking red buff first and then going for the other buff, it guarantees the rotations are going to be opposite of one another for both sides?
Usually what happens is you pick up a buff and then you work your way across the map towards the other one. Looks like Gragas actually going to move down towards his second buff, potentially just going straight from buff to buff, had those two buffs, and even go for a level 3 engage here on the bot side, so they'll have to be careful as they are pushing themselves up here.
Oh my goodness, the color swapping gets me because, we have a solid 30 minutes of Boise State being the blue color and then, another 30 of them being red. Now they're back on blue. That took me a moment to realize. Hopefully I wasn't the only one.
It's a pretty common thing that you have to get used to. Prominence Blade is going to land the Tentacle Smash there, put a little bit of damage back onto the Kale. Prominence Blade definitely has the advantage in this matchup early on. Attempts to get a Tentacle Slam there. From the passive, does get the Q off, so putting a lot of pressure here. Doesn't quite have enough tentacles to reach this Kale, but is burning through potions very quickly.
Yeah, he's also closing that distance on that tower very quickly, as well as keeping his minions up right now. So he's got the opportunity to form a push and keep the tower's damage off of him. He's just got to be careful, though, because the respawns are coming back for the side of UC Davis here on the top lane.
He also needs to be careful because he doesn't have any vision, but it doesn't look like the jungler is on his side. Does take a tower shot, but there's the Test of Spirit. Gets a lot of damage down. Tsunami not going to quite evade any of that. Doesn't back off. Is going to pick up the tentacle, but here comes Galaxy Savage from behind.
Galaxy!
Here's the Heck Rim. First blood to Prominence Blade under the tower. Galaxy Savage is going to pick up the assist for that, so Illaoi already on the warpath. Stun under the turret. There's the root, though, in response. Pillar of Flame is going to force Jhin to back away, lest he get stunned himself. Meanwhile, we have the junglers contesting over each other in that topside jungle. We do see some people moving up from the mid lane. There's the teleport as well. Looks like that scuttle is going to go through. Prominence Blade finds the Test of Spirit, gets a little damage down, but does back away, is going to be safe to just back off.
They got a lot of damage. Boise State got a lot of damage out onto the side of UC Davis on that engage. Plus, they managed to pull one of them over the wall. I thought it was going to be enough, but it looked like they got away with just enough health to survive.
So the Test of Spirit actually pulls out a Ghost. He didn't pull the actual champion themselves over there. But Death of a Dream might be getting pulled. Oh no, Galaxy Savage is getting chased by 3. Good taunt might save his life. No, Lapis is going to pick it up. There's the lockdown. 4 members of UC Davis not able to lock down AD carry as well, but they are going to pick up their first elimination of the game.
Yeah, so that puts us at 1-1. We're only almost 5 minutes in. That's about standard, I want to say, for early kills, and it's a good thing that there wasn't a double picked up for the side of UC Davis, but nothing too extreme happening just yet.
Prominence Blade trying for a Test of Spirit under that tower. He's going to take a couple of tower shots for it, but he does have full access to this tower. Teleport is going to be used to bring Tsunami back, but watch out. There's a Gragas here. Activates the body slam, does find a target. Prominence Blade taking a lot of damage. Here comes the teleport. Test of Spirit actually doing a lot of damage to Gragas in response. It forces him to back away with the threat of the teleport, so AD carry going to use that just to ward folks off.
Smart move from the side of AD carry. I really like seeing support happening from all of the different champions that are out here, and not just coming from, ganks happening from the junglers.
It is interesting how we've seen this Galio across all of these games. Pseudonym is only level 4, doesn't have that range, so doesn't feel very safe in the top lane. But I think it's very interesting how we've seen that Galio go from support to being banned, and now he's being used as a mid lane pick, which is why he was able to use that teleport and has the ability to roam from lane to lane.
That seems like a bit of an OP ability, not gonna lie.
Very useful. Prominence Blade actually uses the ultimate just to confirm that he gets the Test of Spirit all the way through, puts a lot of damage onto Tsunonamis. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, AD carry gets a full combo onto Death of Dream. Actually doesn't get the Winds of Justice there. Does get a good trade, but Joshua going to heal that back off. Meanwhile, AD carry taking a lot of damage, dodges the Steel Tempest, going to stay alive.
I'm trying to both keep an eye on the mid lane fight that's happening right now as we see AD carry disengaging and going towards more of the bot lane. It looks like there might be a soft engage happening on the bot lane as well, but I'm not positive. We do see Galaxy.
Magical Journey, not going to use it to engage though, just heading on down towards that bot lane. They do, however, spot out this jungler here.
Oh no, it's a 3v2, not in favor of Boise State right now. Oh, there's Galaxy, so we've got 3-on-3 down here. Just Galaxy being there might be enough to ward off that jungler who is trying to swoop in. We'll have to see, and it looks like it's going to be, at least for now, just keeping this fight happening here at the tower.
There is a dragon up. We see some fire damage coming out, not able to convert into the full 3 abilities. Let me just take a moment to compliment that AD carry has absolutely picked the best Galio skin. Obviously can't talk about that all game, but Kale now, level 5, getting very close to hitting that level 6, and then the entire lane is going to change for those two, so both of them paying very close attention. Illaoi going to be very dangerous, potentially does have that 2-level lead, but Kale, once she hits level 6, is going to have much more agency in that lane with the ability to poke and farm safely. Things just kind of going casually back and forth. Everybody's just farming. very close to that level 6 in the top lane. Does hit the level 6 now, is going to be ranged in that matchup. So matchup definitely changes top to favor this Kayle instead. Stun under the tower, followed by the root. That's what you look for with that combination. Meanwhile, we have a roam up in the bot lane. It's 3 versus 1, but you're going into an Alawi. There's the last breath. Here comes the hero's entrance, but unfortunately into 3 members with no teammates. There's the Justice Punch. Gets blocked, is going to get caught by 3, and they're going to give that elimination over to the Kayle now. Meanwhile, down in the bottom side of the map, Galaxy Savage is here on this dragon. Pykel Rip with the brand is going to come up and ward foes away, using that passive and the Pillar of Flame to quickly take the dragon for themselves. First dragon over to Boise State.
Is that the Ocean Drake?
Yeah, that's going to be the Ocean Drake. That's going to give a little bit more sustain to the members of Boise State. On the other side of the Rift, though, Rift Herald is going to go over to UC Davis.
All right, what do Rift Heralds do?
So when you defeat the Rift Herald, it drops a little buff called the Eye of the Herald. And once you pick it up, you can go to a lane and you drop the Herald in the lane. And the Herald will charge at towers and do a whole bunch of damage.
That seems OP.
It can be, and that's why it's important to pick that up. Flash is burned by both the support and AD carry there on the side of UC Davis and Boise State, so those resources not available. And of course, if he had been caught, it might have been able to follow up with the Jhin. So overall, good choice on that summoner spell to avoid getting the damage. But we do see a couple of Noon Quivers being picked up in the chat there. Kaisa and Yasuo both picking them up. Pykel Rip sitting in a bush, does not get the stun, does get the flame though, lands the ultimate, passive burns down, he's ignited as well. No, there's the flash, does he get it? Yes! With the edge of the flame pillar, does manage to pick up the elimination onto Midget.
That was beautiful. I'm very happy with that one.
Yeah, more importantly, summoners burned as well for both the Jhin and the Brand. Brand doesn't mind too much. He's going to sit back and poke as much as he wants. Neither of those sides do have escapes, though. And as you can see, the Kayle matchup significantly changed once she hits level 6, has that range, able to chase her out. That was a great ultimate from the Bard. Does manage to find out AD carry, and Mortadoge is going to pick that one up.
I wish we had the Doge icon meme so it could just appear every time Doge got a kill, because that's all I see internally is that Shiba Inu face.
Much Gragas, very ult. We see the Steel Tempest come on the Galaxy Savage. He's just here to kind of ward off the 2 members. It's going to get cut out under the tower, though. Galaxy Savage goes down. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Magical Journey going to keep Lapis safe.
Yeah, right now the side of UC Davis is up 2 kills on Boise State. However, we are only at the 11-minute mark, so that minor gap in between the kills may not mean too much for either team just yet. However, do keep in mind that Boise State already has 1 Drake in their pocket, and they might be looking to go after more.
AD carry in a very difficult position. They've really committed very hard to that mid lane turret. They're going to drop that Rift Herald. AD carry not going to be able to clear that. That's going to be first tower over to UC Davis with that Rift Herald.
Oh no!
Meanwhile, putting a lot of pressure down. There goes the stun. Good dodge by Pykel Rick to avoid the stun happening onto them. Pops
that's
the
a lot of
ultimate
damage.
though. There we go. Pykel Rick picks up his 2nd elimination of the game onto Midget.
I think we're going to see a soft disengage until we see more of...
AD carry lands the taunt. Here comes Galaxy Savage. Death of a Dream is in a dangerous spot. Here comes the hero's entrance, and Galaxy Savage picks up the elimination.
I think we're going to see another fight happening here down at this tower right here from the side of Boise State as they kited back just slightly to get those minions back in their favor so they weren't taking too much tower poke. However, I think the jungler might be returning.
In a difficult spot. Does have the ultimate. Look at that damage.
Okay, run away.
Turn around, but here comes the Gragas. Doesn't have enough. The stun is going to prevent him from being able to get the tentacles.
Ah, dang, and they're already back. All right. Now we're just going to have a stalemate down at that mid tower on bot lane for a while. Nothing exciting. AD carry is getting a little bit low, though, in mid lane just from taking tower poke. That's a little dangerous.
Sometimes it's worthwhile just to try and get a little extra damage on the tower. We are at 12.5 minutes into the game, so only a minute and a half approximately before those towers no longer going to grant additional gold for those plates. Getting as many of those plates as possible is crucial. but Boise State does have a slight gold lead here. It may not matter in the long run, but if they can play smart, they can balloon that out.
And we do see Death of a Dream just purchased Immortal Shield Bow. Is that what that was?
Yep, that great mythic item for Yasuo. We also see now Galaxy Savage picking up Trinity Force. Interesting choice, considering there are no tanks on the side of UC Davis. They're all damage-focused members, so no need to worry about... pardon, we appear to have a pause. There we go. That was interesting. A bit of a visual glitch, but, you know, it's how it goes sometimes. Prominence Blade maybe caught out a little. Pops the Test of Spirit. Doesn't land on a target, though. He does have that Gore Drinker. That is going to let him fight the Kayle relatively safely. Galaxy Savage has two. Dangerous, dangerous.
Oh.
There's the mid laner and the jungle. Does get caught in a stun. Here comes double teleports here. Galaxy Savage on the other side, ready to meet Immortal.
Yes!
So Boise State catches things out, but there's the last breath. Shutdown does go over to Galaxy Savage. There's a flash over the wall. Yasuo is going to get away. Pykel Rick follows through the magical journey, trying to chase down this Bard. Gimmick follows as well. They're not going to be able to, but that is dragon control for Boise State, and most likely the second dragon of the game.
That was, I'm not gonna lie, that was a beautiful team fight. I thought it was gorgeous.
And that was really all about vision. Pykel Rick is going to put out a little damage out. Next dragon goes to Boise State. That is the Cloud Dragon. The rift for this final game is also going to be Mountain, like it was in the previous game. And since UC Davis doesn't have any tanks, any armor or magic resist on their team members, that's really going to be more advantageous to the side of Boise State.
So what you're saying is Boise State needs to go get the Mountain Drake when it spawns, because it's going to be a major player for them, and even if UC Davis did get it, it wouldn't do too much for them?
Even if UC Davis does get it, the advantage there is that it's not going to Boise State.
Wow. That's a rough take there. I would just give it up.
Test of Spirit does find Tsunanamis. He's going to take some poke damage and be forced to back away while dealing with tentacles spawning around him. There's a Gragas up in the top lane. Promise Blade missed Test of Spirit. There's three members up here. I don't think he's getting away. Gore Drinker does keep him healthy for a little while, but Tsunanamis is going to pick up the elimination. 2-2-2 on that Kayle, and going to be an absolutely terrifying champion as the game carries on.
And it looks like we might see a tower go down soon, also in favor of Boise State, because that tower right there at bot mid is looking like it's getting pretty low, and they are protecting it like it's their firstborn child.
There is potential for a tower to go down, but I'd argue it's for the side of UC Davis as a stun and a root finds its way on the Pykel Rick. But if you look up in the mini map there on the bottom right-hand corner of the stream, UC Davis has just picked up the Rift Herald for themselves. Going to be in the hands of that Gragas, but there's the Killer Instinct going underneath the tower. Gimmick is going to try and find a kill. Does manage to get one over to AD Carry. Eliminations happen on the other side of the map as Galaxy Savage picks up Tsunanamis, and they're also going to pick up a tower. Boise State, rapid-fire eliminations for them as they are now moving on to their second tower in that bot lane. They are going to back away. Boise State really pulled the trigger across the entire map there, proving that they really didn't need to have that Alawi there in order to pick their fights. There goes the explosive cast. Prominence Blade fighting him underneath his tower. That Gore Drinker, incredible for keeping alive.
Oh, Galaxy
Prominence Blade is going to pick up that elimination for his side. Prominence Blade surviving with that Gore Drinker. There we have the Tempered Fate coming out just to try and save the tower for a little bit longer. It is going to go down. There's the Test of Spirit. I'm sorry, Lapis, but you picked a really bad person to fight with. You do have backup, though. And unfortunately, Prominence Blade doesn't have an ultimate available. He's going to be caught out by 3 and go down to Death of a Dream.
And that is when I would just pop into comms and say words.
You got the tower. It's a little late to get plates out, but you got the tower, and that's pretty great. And meanwhile, Boise State, Gimmick and AD Carry going to try and do as much as they can to that mid lane tower. There's no one around to contest. Yasuo is going to come down, so they're going to pick up that tower for themselves. Boise State still in a tower lead, still in a kill lead, still in a huge gold lead.
Yeah, and we're almost getting to the point where we're going to see, you know, Baron come out. We're 2.5 minutes out from that 20-minute mark on the game, and Boise State is widening that gap of their lead ever so little bit at a time, but enough so that I think this is starting to sway more in favor of Boise State.
18 minutes in, we did see the W go off onto the Bard. He might be getting collapsed on here. I don't think there's a way out, but he is barred. Does pop the magical journey, but it's not enough. Michael Rick on a killing spree.
And we're watching Prominent Blade once again on the top lane, going against Pseudo,
that's
but
a level
Pseudo's
11
range!
KO.
Oh gosh, that's just ugly. That range is, oh man.
That's a level 11 KO. Test of Spirit misses. Prominence Blade is underneath his tower against 2. Pops the ultimate. Ultimately, not enough. The Mortadoge going to pick that up. Meanwhile, Galaxy Savage going to steal away the blue buff on the other side of the map. But meanwhile, there is a dragon spawning, that mountain drake. The teams are already pinging it out here. Only going to be spawning in about 40 seconds here. So both teams want to play around this bottom side of the map.
And we did see that blue team also summoned out the Rift Herald as well. It seemed to try and give them a little bit more of an advantage too.
Yeah, there's no members of Boise State up in that top lane right now. Nobody to answer that Rift Herald. It might get some decent damage onto that second tower if no one is sent to answer it. It looks like Prominence Blade is going to move up. It is going to get a second charge, though. So unfortunately, Boise State taking a lot of tower damage in that top lane. Meanwhile, good stun. There's all 3. Brand's passive. Ignite comes out. Immortal Shield Blow is keeping him alive, but he's still burning. Gimmick gets the elimination. Lapis trying to get away with his life, but Gimmick is going to pick up the double kill. Meanwhile, AD Carry lands the taunt, but on the target that's out of range. Test of Spirit does come through. AD Carry very low. Midget's going to pick up the elimination. Bit overextended there without the team to back him up. But while all of this is happening, Boise State is still in control of this dragon. Galaxy Savage all over it right now.
Yeah, they're just waiting for it to spawn. Is it going to spawn right at the 20-minute marker?
It's already spawned, and it's already gone.
Yeah, there
so
to go.
Galaxy Savage going to pick that up for his team. 3 dragons, that soul point. The next one for Boise State will give them the Mountain Soul if UC Davis doesn't do something to answer back.
I don't think they will, since they kind of relinquished that last dragon without a fight after dealing with Poppy in the last one. I wouldn't even try myself.
Now, to be fair, they weren't able to go after that dragon in the previous one. They did manage to steal one away from Boise State, even in spite of the Poppy. So still have opportunities for that objective control. We do see, speaking of objective controls, it's 20 minutes. Baron is on the map. Neither of these teams really want to take it, though, without the enemy jungler being down. A little bit too dangerous. We do see AD Carry here in the mid. Uses the Justice Punch, not able to close the gap. Takes root, but he'll be fine.
Of course, it's a bald eagle with the Justice Punch.
I feel like I should make some kind of bald eagle noise, but what does that even sound like? I want to go like caw or something.
I think it's a very screechy bird sound.
I know there's like a Statue of Liberty Karthus skin that makes that eagle noise, but no Karthus in this game. We got a brief technical glitch here. There we go. Everyone's back to moving as they should be across the rift here.
Okay, so Boise State is kind of slowly congregating up towards that Baron right now, but I feel like UC Davis is also trying to push back and not allow them just a free entry into that area. They, like you said earlier, they do need to they need to take care of one of the junglers. So whichever jungler goes down first, I think is going to determine which one, who's going to end up at that at the dragon.
Dangerous position. Here comes the curtain call. Michael Rick is low. There's the burning. Bard able to save himself with the Tempered Fate. Here comes the ultimate from Kale as well, but unfortunately Divine Intervention not able to stop against 2 members. Meanwhile, shutdown onto Michael Rick. Finally loses that bounty. Is going to be 3-1. Does still have that 300 gold bounty though, so he was really far ahead on this brand. You know, whenever I play Brand in the bottom lane, I feel like a terrible person just because of the sheer amount of damage it does. And into some matchups, it's like, oh, you're going to be standing there. I'm just going to press W, and there goes half your health bar.
That does sound kind of dirty. That's okay. I'm a Moira player, too. I understand.
22 minutes into the game, Boise State with a 3K gold lead. It's certainly not the end of the world, especially with bounties on 2 different members of their team. If either Galaxy Savage or Gimmick get picked off, that could be a lot of gold over to UC Davis, but Gimmick definitely not showing any signs of getting picked off. 3-0-5 on this Kai'Sa. Already 2 major items picked up.
And still, no one's really going after. Oh, wait. I think I see UC Davis kind of making their way. Nope, they're just going around. Never mind. I thought we were going to see a Baron push, but no.
Definitely a lot of bot lane focus right now. Bit of a surprise considering that the Dragon isn't up, but maybe Boise State trying to take that bot side turret. They did have a lot of control over the mid lane earlier. Prominence Blade, the only one separated from the team up in that top lane, does not have the teleport, but neither does the Yasuo on the other side. Is Prominence Blade going to find him? Nope, no vision, just going to... Oh, never mind. Yasuo is going to stick around. Maybe he fancies a fight. He won't have any assistance for it.
And we do see Dream up there as well, choosing to... partial to never mind. Thought they were going to back. They're going to reveal themselves up there to Promise Blade, so we'll be interested to see how that pans out, as we do see a couple members trying to do a pinch up there, but this fight in the middle, Gimmick is now just going on a straight rampage. This player is unstoppable right now. We've got 4 people down here, I believe, from the side of Boise State on the bot lane push that's happening, trying to take out that tower, and it does look like it's going to fall, so that'll be Boise State's 4th tower.
Great use of that killer instinct to follow up after the divine intervention had been popped, but there's still a Gragas to worry about. Tempered Fate finds AD carry. There's the explosive cast, though. Curtain Call also comes out. Great taunt onto 3 members. Death of a Dream finds Galaxy Savage in the backline. There's the onslaught of shadows. AD carry picks up an elimination for himself, and Boise State manages to keep all of their members alive in spite of a great engage from UC Davis.
And it looks like they're going to go after this turret right here and not even have to worry about taking damage after that last fight. And they're pushing in on the first... Oh my, is this going to be just a full inhibitor push coming again from the side of Boise State right here? Possibly.
There's the Test of Spirit and the ultimate from Ilaoi. Prominence Blade not able to follow up any further, just try to dive for it though. Is going to get cut out by a Mortidos. Is going to end up losing his life, but they're going to pick up an inhibitor. So hashtag worth, Boise State backing out. And on top of that, the Dragon is available for their team. Burn from the brand. Mortidos in a dangerous spot is able to get alive. They're just doing this over the wall. Here comes Lapis trying to close the distance. Not able to get the stun. Meanwhile, 4th strike goes over to Boise State. That's Mountain Soul to Boise State, and that shield is going to be big in these upcoming fights. There's so much for UC Davis to get through, and they don't have any abilities that really let them shred through tanks. Meanwhile, Death of a Dream finds Gimmick, but Death of a Dream might have bitten off more than he can handle.
Galaxy coming in for this cleanup on that kill. Holy cow.
Fearless Onslaught going on over the wall here just to get one more elimination for the team. This Hecarim has been absolutely terrifying. Speaking of which, uses the Hecarim to push up a Mortidos. There's the teleport in. Gimmick used a killer instinct just to follow it up. Divine intervention used to try and keep Synonymus alive. Does manage to survive. Tempered Fate also used to keep Galaxy Savage from closing in. Boise State absolutely dominating control right now. Curtain Call comes out. They're using ultimates one after another, but Promise is just that tickles.
The health bars are decreasing more and more on the side of UC Davis right now, and they're also doing damage onto that Nexus turret right there. I feel like this might be a full push coming out from Boise State, but it looks like UC Davis is stabilized enough. They may need to disengage at least a little bit back and get out some of those abilities like they did originally and re-engage after they've... That
was an inhibitor. There's the tower in the mid lane. That's a huge knock-up into the last breath. What an incredible play. Now Boise State bleeding health bars. Galaxy Savage, the only one left alive and being chased down by multiple members. This could be huge. No, Gimmick is also still alive. In spite of everything, 6-0 and 8 on this champion, but that was a huge knockup. We saw what the Gragas and the Yasuo can do with each other. So the UC Davis clearly not out of the game yet, trying to equalize that gold lead, even if they are currently 6K behind.
Yeah, they still have a breath. They still have a heartbeat. Okay, all right, so we now know that the Dragon Soul is in the favor of Boise State. The Elder Dragon is now going to spawn. What comes from the Elder Dragon?
The Elder Dragon causes true damage over time every time you deal damage to anything. Anything.
Okay, so UC Davis needs to not let Boise State get that dragon, is what you're saying.
Oh, it gets worse even. If your health bar gets a little bit too low and you take some damage from someone who has that buff, you're executed. You're straight up gone.
Oh yeah, they need to stop the car. Oh, it looks like we might see a Baron fight, but it looks like Pykel is up there waiting for it. And as well as Blade. So we've got 3 of the UC Davis players, but it looks like Lapis is a little too low to engage on that fight. Yeah, 2 are still in mid, making their way up to the Baron. I think this is the Baron push coming out from Boise State, and they knock down the health bars on the side of UC Davis to back them up a little bit, but they need to be careful and make sure, yep, they've got vision up to make sure they aren't going to get caught off guard or watching that. Yep, they're just going to watch it. All right, sounds good.
That was a Tempered Fate Bird just to keep their support alive. Very short cooldown on that ability, though, so we will see it potentially up again. Boise State setting up around this Baron. Prominence Blade actually going to start. Boise State has all 5 members here on this Baron, and between the Brand and the Kaiser, they're going to do so much damage to this objective.
There's a curtain call coming out, though.
2 shots. Boise State picks up the Baron. 3 shots, 4 shots. Boise's going to walk away feeling quite great about themselves. Look at that Baron timer up in the corner. All 5 members carrying that buff to their respective lanes. 2.5 minutes, or 2 minutes 45 seconds of absolute dominance here for Boise State now as they move this Baron buff up.
Just take out the tower, take out the second inhib, and go into the Nexus. This is it.
This could potentially be the game here. Prominence Blade leading the way for his team. Here comes an explosive cast. Only finds 1, though. It looks like Prominence Blade, though, going to be caught out. Here comes the onslaught of shadows. Galaxy Savage doing a great job to zone off the rest of his team. Tempered Fate comes out, protects 1, but lots of low health bars. Gimmick does finally get shut down, but it goes over to Lapis. Galaxy Savage might be in a bad position. Also gets shut down by Pseudonomus. So even though Boise State had a huge advantage here, 2 huge shutdowns over to UC Davis, potentially turning this game around as now 3 members forced to back away. Prominence Blade very low, uses the flash, getting chased by a Jhin.
Oh, no.
There's the test of spirit, keeps itself alive with a Gore Drinker. What in the world? Does end up managing to get that off, but here's AD Carry getting caught out thanks to a magical journey. Boise State is on the run, unable to get away. UC Davis pinning them down. He's a very tanky boy, but Lapis also going to pick up another elimination. That's 2 shutdowns for that Bard, though, of all the champions it could have gone to.
All right, the Baron timer is now at 1 minute and 20 seconds remaining, so that's about enough time for Boise State to get, to get 1 solid push in, I think either at top or bot lane, not through mid for sure, but it looks like we're going to have Pseudo and Lapis down waiting by the Dragon to ensure Boise State does not get that Elder Dragon.
Michael Rick, the only one alive, still carrying the Baron buff, but he's getting quickly collapsed on. There's 2 shots from the curtain call.
Oh, no.
3, 4.
Oh, no.
Lapis manages to find the stun, and they're going to give that one over to Pseudonomus. This is a level 16 Kayle. She has hit peak performance and is arguably the most powerful champion in the game right now.
And it looks like the Elder Drake is going to be spawning in about 15 seconds here, and it looks like for the side of UC Davis, they're trying to maintain control and vision down there to make sure Boise State does not get it.
The Elder Dragon could also be their opportunity to come back into this game. It's a very powerful buff to have, and Boise State only really have 1 member with that Baron buff available to them. Elder Dragon could be melting very fast. They do have the Kayle. AD Carry watching over the backside, tries to throw the Winds of War over the side. There goes the Tempered Fate. Unstoppable Galaxy charging in. There's the Hero's End. Stolen! That's the Elder Dragon! He's taunted in the pit! Boise State now absolute domination. That is most likely the game as they not only pick up the Elder Dragon, but they pick up the ace. The GGs are coming through in the chat as UC Davis, Midget leaving the game. They're going to pick up at least 1 more inhibitor as those death timers way too long when there's a Baron buff and an Elder Drake. Boise State going to take game 3 for themselves.
And that does mean they keep the undefeated title, and that is beautiful.
Boise State is victorious in this best of 3 up against UC Davis. Thank you to the Aggies for playing, and congratulations to Boise State for maintaining their undefeated status here in the Collegiate Star League with an amazing Baron steal from Galaxy Savage.
That honestly was beautiful. Well executed.
And now that Game 3 is over, we have to ask ourselves, who do we think was the star of these games? Because
Galaxy.
a lot of members... Okay. Let's talk about some of the other members of Boise State's team. We saw great performances from Rick on both the Swain and the Brand. Maybe struggled in that first game a little bit. All of Boise State really struggling. Prominence Blade really showed up on that Irelia in Game 2. Overall, very solid performance in the mid lane. But okay, Galaxy Savage, first on that Poppy, absolutely shutting down everything UC Davis had to offer. Game 2, really dominant on that Hecarim. But also, let's talk a little bit about us. We are Boise State Esports here. We are always looking for talented players, production members, broadcast talent, and top talent, along with good grades and eligibility, can earn scholarships as well to sweeten the deal. You can sign up today by visiting boisestate.edu/esports for more information. And let me tell you, I've been around here with Boise State Esports for, I think, almost 3 years now. I've had a blast, and yes, good grades, scholarships, an opportunity to get on the desk and cast or play in League of Legends or Overwatch or any of the other games we play, Rocket League, Valorant. We've got a Valorant team. And, of course, that fighting tournament we have going on. All of those things you can find with Boise State Esports.
All right. Back to our talk.
Back to our talk.
Okay, all right. Yes, Gimmick, I won't, disregard how much you popped off, especially during that Game 3. You did amazing, but my love has to go to Galaxy in this case just because of the utility that they brought to the table and how many fights were flipped when Galaxy would just, appear.
I mean, first on that Poppy, you denied almost the entirety of the opposing team's ability to engage. He did end up giving over his stolen dragon. Oh no. Well, I'm just gonna make up for it in Game 3 by stealing the Elder Dragon.
Yeah, that was huge.
And single-handedly confirming all of your eliminations and the game for myself with one smite.
Mm-hmm. So Galaxy, I'm gonna give that one off to Galaxy.
This is, of course, the ending to Boise State up against UC Davis in the Collegiate Star League. Boise State proved to be the victorious team on the Rift in a grueling 3-game series. Overall, well played by the Aggies, but Boise State takes home the victory.
Yes, now Boise State gets to keep their undefeated title and make the big red X on their back even bigger.
Definitely, but that might also confirm Boise State pretty much unable to be kicked out of that playoff position there. Going to hold their first place title. Unfortunately, the Aggies could potentially drop with that loss, but we're right now preparing ourselves for the player of the game. So we were talking about what Galaxy Savage did. Is he guaranteed lock-in?
I'm locking it in. I'm going to final answer. Galaxy is my vote.
I mean, Gimmick was also a crucial member in all of those fights, but it looks like now we're going to have the Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game. Who is it going to be?
Galaxy? Gimmick? Galaxy?
It is going to be Galaxy Savage. Absolutely dominant performance. Galaxy Savage, the player of the game, is brought to you by Idaho Central Credit Union, who believes a great player makes a team more successful, just like Idaho Central's helping members achieve financial success. Galaxy Savage is the Idaho Credit Central Union player of the game, and no wonder, absolutely dominant across all 3 games for his team.
Fantastic job. But, of course, all of Boise State did a great job. Like we mentioned, Gimmick was popping off at various points in time. Pikel was doing a great job of maintaining lane presence and getting important kills as well. It's just Galaxy did a couple extra things this game that deserved them that title of the ICCU player of the game. So congratulations to you, Galaxy, and to everyone else on the team. You have plenty of time to get this title yourselves. So, just pop off again. Do it again. You might get it.
A lot of situations, that Poppy ultimate isn't one that we usually see being used to well, but used to great effect just to disengage from fights, shove the jungler away there. We also saw here tower dive onto this Kale. It's a scary thing to do a tower dive at such a low level, but Prominence Blade really set up this elimination here. Galaxy Savage moving across the map, but that was actually Ghost on Hecarim. Not something we see all the time, but proven to be very effective.
I'm sorry, I'm just enjoying all of this. I'm looking at Galaxy's moments of gank where they're just like coming in as the glowing savior to the other person in the lane and being like, hold up, I got this.
Hecarim is something of a Boise State staple. All of our teams have proven they're capable of running it. And, of course, the Poppy proving absolutely instrumental to their team strategy in that game, too, and what allowed Boise State to carry so hard into Game 3.
For sure, and I totally bet that the next game we see them, not UC Davis, but the next game that we see for this team, Poppy's going to get banned.
Well, as we're looking to close up this match, any big takeaways?
I have a lot to learn when it comes to League of Legends, and I'm not fully prepared to lose my life to the game as much as I've lost my life to Overwatch, but I'll dedicate like half of it.
Just a little bit. Well, don't worry. We're going to have some time to learn a lot more about League of Legends, but in the meantime, we're going to close with our top plays. But we're not quite done tonight. We've still got a post-game press conference coming up, and you won't want to miss that. But for now, presented by the Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to take your more impressive critical thinking skills into real time, we have your top plays here for Idaho National Guard. So we'll see you later.
It looks like Gimmick
in a
got
dangerous
caught
position.
out.
The ultimate does come through to get Echo out of here. But now this Sejuani taking so much damage in the front is going to get the shutdown, though, onto Gimmick. That's big for their team. Stun into the wall. Great play. Double kill over to Gimmick. And now Boise State has full control of this mid lane as the stun misses. Breaking out across, we have a teleport in from the Aatrox here. Shutdown goes over to that Kai'Sa. That's going to be really important for Boise State as they now try to force people out of the Baron Pit, but those health bars are starting to drop low. Massive taunt onto two members. Double kill over to Kai'Sa. They managed to find the Jhin on the backline. Triple kill. Only Lapis alive. That's going to be Dragon over to the side of Boise State.
That was a beautiful...
Not get the stun. Does get the flame, though. Lands the ultimate. Passive burns down. He's ignited as well. No. There's the flash. Does he get it? Yes! With the edge of the flame pillar. Does manage to pick up the elimination onto Midget.
That was beautiful. I'm very happy with that one.
More. Davis has just picked up the Rift Herald for themselves. Going to be in the hands of that Gragas, but there's the Killer Instinct going underneath the tower. Gimmick is going to try and find a kill. Does manage to get one over to AD Carry. Eliminations happen on the other side of the map as Galaxy Savage picks up Pseudonomus, and they're also going to pick up a tower. Boise State, rapid fire eliminations for them as they're now fast. They do have the Kale. AD Carry watching over the backside, tries to throw the Winds of War over the side. There goes the Tempered Fate. Unstoppable Galaxy charging in. There's the Hero's Engine. Stolen! That's the Elder Dragon! He's taunted in the pit! Boise State now absolute domination. That is most likely the game as they not only pick up the Elder
on a Rhine or on a Kai'Sa right now in League of Legends could climb to Challenger. That champion might get nerfed. So how do you recruit for an ever-changing meta? You know, someone like Funsize might show up and his champion of choice gets nerfed to the ground. How do you plan for that?
Honestly, you have to look for history and you have to look for the ability for them to, to kind of figure out what's happening in the moment and adjust to it. So what did they do last season? What did they do 2 seasons ago? What do those success spikes look like? Because if they can kind of keep consistent, then they can figure out what's changing. They can change their play style. They're going to be successful in lots of metas. There are several parts. I mean, League of Legends specifically. Funsize is a great example of Blithely. Stephanie Todd would be amazing if we could find a way to get her here. Their key to success is their ability to learn the trades and then as a team play to the meta at the moment, right?
Yeah, and I got 2 questions for you.
Yep.
I see a lot of mid players on this list. So 1, when are we going to be losing Ascent to graduation, of course? And 2, can any of them main Rumble and still make sure Rumble's permabanned against Boise State?
I don't know that anybody can Rumble the way that Ascent can Rumble. In fact,
that's true.
we've got another semester with him. We're going to do everything in our power to get him active in the fall. Next semester he graduates in December, and to let him enjoy the remainder of his college experience. But the rest of that list that you see, it happens to be mid-heavy because of who's available right now. But these are the conversations that we're having. Yep. And Nell Hiccup would be a great to land here as well, as would Cafo and Runeweaver and that whole group. Rimpo and Luther are two that would be next year. They're 22. Yep. But we just keep trying to make these connections and find the right people.
I think the only way you're going to get a scent to have on a Rhine or on a Kaisa right now in League of Legends